Screeners! Happy New Year! Welcome to January. How you doing, Nico?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you can see us because it's season 5 and it's awesome. It's season 5. And speaking of 5, it starts already. Francis Lalonde comes in and says, The Wicker Man, 1973. Greetings all. Ballpark Frank, great to have you here. I've mentioned this a few times. Please do follow Francis Lalonde at Ballpark Frank on Twitter for one of the single hands down most frustrating movie games on the internet. Gavin Mann's in the house. Good evening all and happy new year to you all. Gavin Mann, happy new year to you too, sir. Pedro Santos is here. Opa, opa, opa.
Hey. I love that.
Will is here. Will, who I spoke to you about earlier. Will Johnson, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Will, it is great to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Awesome, guys. Welcome, Will. Welcome to a live stream, that is. I heard you're a silver screen regular, so I appreciate that. I believe, I'm not sure if he is watching, but he said the alert should come up, but I'm not going to bait him out. He is working, so shout out to AA Ron if you are there. So yeah, there's a few people there, and obviously to everybody listening on podcasts. So yeah.
And yes, if you do not have time to catch us live, which seems to now pretty much be every single Tuesday on our YouTube channel at about 8:30 p.m. BST, you can, of course, catch us. AJ, would you like to take it away? Let me get the banner up. Are you ready? Are you ready?
For the first time of 2022 on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, TuneIn, Stitcher, Geo7, and all you have to do is search for Movie Mount Rushmore.
Or you can just search us, as AJ said, right at the top on Spotify, Movie Mount Rushmore. We're right there.
That's the one.
A lot of other people have joined us. Tucky's here.
Hey, Tucky.
Tucky says, Rocky Jaws are in my top 2. I'll star that so we can come back to you later, Tucky. Yusuf, Mr. Ozopsi is here. Hi, this ought to be interesting since my parents were born then, so I have no knowledge about 70s movies other than they exist.
That's
Yusuf?
a lie. I, for a fact, know you know a 70s movie, my friend.
He knows a few 70s movies. He knows a few.
He does, but yeah.
Happy New Year, Film Familia from Mixed Memorabilia. Frank Torres is also in the house. Hello, friends. Happy New Year. Before we get deep, have any of you watched The Lost Daughter yet? Didn't care for it. What did you think? Have not seen it.
No.
And I'm really glad that we're not playing the have not seen it drinking game, because I have a feeling that may come up quite a bit on this episode.
Ooh, could well do. It's funny because
Pedro Santos, question about the topic 1971 through 1980 or 1970 to 79. 70 to 79. There can be no number 8 at the beginning.
That's the one. Yeah. It's funny because there are so many, and then it starts to get into how you want to narrow it down. Normally we used to play it in another way where it has to be one from each year, but we didn't do that this time because time didn't permit it, to be honest. And yeah, there were so many potentials out there.
AJ, sorry to cut you off. It's that time of the show where I get to say
it's one of 2 that get to scare me.
Hold on to your butts. Chris Trangrove's in the house. Happy 2022. Is there a Spider-Man movie in the 70s? There is actually.
There is indeed, Chris. Stay tuned.
Will Johnson says The Godfather. We'll see. Chris Trangrove, in answer to Frank Torres' question, 2.5 out of 5 for The Lost Daughter. Declan is here from Just a Movie Fan on Twitter. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. Great to have you back with us, Declan. And Ozopsi answers a few, but not an expansive knowledge. I know the big ones like Star Wars. That's a good one to know. And AJ, your man's here. Andy Hart. I enjoyed The Lost Daughter.
Both of them are here to scare me. Both Andy and Chris. These are the original Twitter guys, as it were, who are now with us on the YouTube waves. As is everyone. Don't get me wrong, but these were some of the early names that we recognized along the journey of expansion. So great to have you guys there.
Mixed Memorabilia says this was a tough top 10. In the words of a wise man, no shit.
It's very tough. It's one that really kicked my rear when it came to what I wanted to eliminate. And even now, I still don't find that I have the correct justification. A lot of it relies on my actual personal nostalgia. There's one that was a new entry for me, actually, but my God, is it a very good film. So, that came in.
That I mentioned?
No.
Oh, that you found. Very good. I'm happy to hear that.
And I shit you not, this was at 6 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Day. Someone told me about this film. I finished work. Oh, you do, mate. I finished work. We had after work drinks, which was permitted. It's all legal.
Huh?
Went for this gentleman, John, shout out John, got his cab at about 6:15. I decided, as one must do, McDonald's breakfast for dinner has to be
Of
done.
course.
Right? And that in Charing Cross was half an hour to 45 minutes of queuing. Get into the other half's house for 7:30, and then off to a wedding first thing the next day. Don't ask me how I done it, but it was done.
Cocaine. And I can joke about that because you're cleaner than a baby's backside when it comes to drugs, aren't you?
Yeah, so. This is it. It wasn't even Coca-Cola, so I really don't know how I survived that day. But hey, we're there.
Although you are partial to an energy drink now and then, aren't you?
Yeah, in the cinemas, so I didn't even do it then. Yeah, there was no wings for me that day.
Gavin Mann proposes a Movie Mount Rushmore drinking game anytime punt is mentioned. So I have feelings about that because one, it would be a great drinking game in the sense that we do say punt, but you wouldn't get very drunk. Because AJ and I, being two best friends, we often do have quite similar picks. You'd get maybe 3 or 4 drinks in you in a good show.
Yeah. But then on something as wide as this one, like, it could go 2 different ways, and we have like different ways of approaching stuff. So yeah. 2 to 3.
I propose an alternative drinking game, which comes from Mr. Andy Hart. Anytime someone says, haven't seen it yet,
as you said,
you're going to get fucked. You're going to get drunk, boy. And girl, son.
Especially, I mean, between the two of us is one thing. With the movie knowledge base of the viewers that are you, the screeners, have bottles at the ready.
Yes. Speaking of bottles, I've discovered my absolute. Because you know I'm not a liquor guy. That has changed, and people call me sissy for it as as a bunch of other colourful choice words which I would care to not mention on a YouTube channel. It's Disaronno. Everyone's like, I know Disaronno. Everyone knows Disaronno. Everyone knows Amaretto. Yeah. Old school. Disaronno Velvet.
You are.
It's white and it looks like milk. Okay. It is heavenly. It's like you're drinking alcoholic chocolate almond liqueur. It is. Is it a manly man's drink? Like, am I going to grow a mustache and go and chop some wood and then use that wood to make my whiskey? No. Do I feel like a man drinking it? No. Do I enjoy it? Yes.
You know, in your defense, everything's possible now. Once upon a time, Yorkie used to have the not for girls tag. Now you can't get away with that shit. So you know what? You enjoy your Disaronno Velvet because no one's allowed to misgender you.
Damn straight. We've got more suggestions coming in. Francis Lalonde says Equinox. Will Johnson says Boogie Nights. Chris Trengrove, a Grizzly conformist, is great. Tucky says Kramer versus Kramer. My top 10 1970s remains fluid, says Francis Lalonde. Pedro Santos says impossible top 10. I wish you fellas had narrowed it down a bit. It is indeed impossible. Frank Torres agrees it's an impossible top 10. I wanted you guys to do a 2-parter because there's going to be a lot of discussion. So Frank, here's the thing for season 5. Because we've been doing this a while now, this very well might be the first season where the top 10, that those 2 words that you see at the beginning of every show, they're prefaced by a new word, which is called another. Yeah. Another top 10 of this topic. It may happen.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's so insane, the amount of opportunity and stuff that's out there. It's, yeah.
It's insane. It's actually nuts. Like we've said, the 90s were great. We then came back and said, you know what? The 80s are even better. This is better.
Yeah, 70s. Do you know what was weird is how many franchises or like there was a point. There's one film I really left out that I really wanted to put in because when you talk about the definitive, give it any category, the 70s can actually own it, whether it be sci-fi, horror, this, that, the other. Like the 70s have a lot of
it all. It's got it all.
Yeah. So it was a tough one. It was a very tough one. And the thing is that it's because there were so many definitives, I felt like they needed to be included. Some I omitted because I'm like, Nico's got my back on this. So let's try and balance it where we can. I mean, there are going to be commonalities, I know, because there are some I just couldn't justify not having on. But then there are just so many deep films, like deep actual dramas but they're not like definitive. And I'm like,
to some people they are. To some people they are.
Bro, trust me, I know. So I just went for the one golden nugget of like a drama. This like, wow, and this is a new film to me. That's why I was like, hey, I don't know. Let's throw one of my edutainments out in there, kind of thing. And
love it.
One has, I always say, there is one you're going to say has no place being on there, but there's another one that I feel as an animation, possibly to a lot of people, has no place being on there. But as a child, I loved this continuously on VHS, so I just had to.
I'm interested to see what you have to say, because Mixed Memorabilia agrees with you. Fully agree, AJ. Nostalgia is seriously affecting my choices. Gavin Mann says, watch 3 70s films for this: Godfather, French Connection, and American Graffiti. One made the top 10. Find out later.
So, do you know what? Again, I'm not going to lie. There are a lot of 70s classics that I have not seen. Yeah, a lot. And I put my hand up to it. But it was just a matter of who gets placed where in January. And we were like, you know what? Hey, let's kick off with the 70s. And it was like, yeah. So a few have made it through, but yeah, what an awesome decade for film.
I don't think there's better. I genuinely believe that. I'm looking at my top 10 here, and it's like there's nothing. It's insane. It's actually insane. What's equally insane is the amount of honorable shit that I've mentioned that is like, that's a separate top 10. There's another 2 lists on here.
Yeah, that is the other thing. Let's be honest. I don't think we can mention the honorables just in the event that this
another
through, followed by yet another top 10. The potential is there.
The potential is there. Frank Torres suggests Rushmore drinking game, Oscar talk tangents. That would be a good one.
Yeah, it could easily become something. We're approaching that season as well. We are approaching that season as well, so it could really, and then plus the category and the stellar films that are in here, it could easily become one. So can I just get this question out there and you guys can all agree? Are we all a bunch of closeted alcoholics? Because we're trying to find the best way to be able to enjoy a drink while watching this show.
Do you know what Francis Lillon? Do you know what Francis Lillon says to that? Drink.
The timing couldn't have been better. Could not have been better for that.
Chris Trangrove isn't on board with that though, and says it's 2:36 in the afternoon my time, so maybe a little early for drinking games. But if I must, I must.
Chris, where are you?
Chris is in the States, I believe.
Do you know all this time I thought Chris was over here in the UK?
Andy's here. Chris, I believe, is in the States.
I know Andy's here. I always thought Chris was, yeah. Damn.
Gavin Mann says, as a teetotal guy, I probably shouldn't recommend drinking games. Josephine DeMarco's in the house. Josephine, thank you for joining us again. Josephine says, thoughts on being there. Peter Sellers being there is fucking stellar. And it couldn't quite make my list. That's how good this 70s freaking...
to be honest.
How have you not seen being there? It's so good. Okay. And Josephine DeMarco ups the ante and says, thoughts on the films of Hal Ashby in general? Cheers. Frank Torres says, I'm in the States. You guys are going to have me drinking at 2 in the afternoon. So I can confirm by that deduction that power of the brain, Christmas be in the States. Andy Hart says, McDonald's for breakfast. Haven't done that since I was a student. The trick was to arrive after 10 so you could get lunch at 10:30. Ha!
Well played, Andy. I am a good McDonald's. I am a good fan of the McDonald's breakfast, so I was very happy to be queuing at 6:45 in the morning. Anyway, that's another story. But yeah,
Chris Trangrove says the 1970s is the best all-time decade for American cinema. 1990s is a close second. Yes, Chris, I love you. Go on, Chris. 1990s.
But then that little in between called the 80s wasn't too bad either. I suppose it was
the 80s was awesome.
It was awesome, yeah.
Will Johnson says all the president's men. Francis Lalonde says Chinatown. This is going to be such a long episode. I can feel it.
You guys are throwing out. So it's classics that anyway, I want to say it. But
Gavin Mann says,
very much debating for.
Yes. Will the Naughties make an appearance in a future episode? I know you've covered most of the other decades. 60s we got to do, 50s we're going to have to do at some point, noughties we will have to do, 2010s we will have to do, because I still maintain, I said this to
50s
Francis.
we done though, no? Episode 100.
You may be right.
Cinema. Golden
era of cinema. You're quite right. I think we did. So there will be a noughties episode, Gavin. Frank Torres says, this is true film appreciation. Many of us weren't born when these films were made. Scorsese and Ridley Scott would be proud. Well, but we like comic books, so they don't like us. Declan says, alien! Just alien! Francis Lalonde says, nostalgia ain't what it used to be. Pedro Sancto says, Life of Brian. Francis Lalonde says, Paper Moon. Francis Lalonde says, The Sting. Riri Thomas is in the house. Hello, Riri. Yay. Hope you are both well. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is one of my favorites. Most consistent decade for sure. Francis Lalonde then says, Wizards. Pedro Sancto says, I wish you did a top 10 with a smaller pool to choose from, providing similar choices to us all. It's so difficult, this episode.
So probably we could have done a two-parter, but then it's January. We're trying to honor every guest because we could have done 70 to 74, 75 to 79 maybe. But hey, it is what it is, and we're here. It's tough. And at 76 comments, I think that's a perfect time for us to kick it.
YG's here. Hi, YG. Every evening, guys, and happy New Year. Happy New Year
to you too, my bro.
Chris Trango lives in Chicago. Chi-town. This is insane. Like Mixed Member Billy says, Taxi Driver. Francis Lalonde says, Murder by Death and Young Frankenstein. Godfather 1, who's superior to me. Do you see the names of the movies being mentioned? It's freaking ridiculous. Beta Fett. Hey guys, it's Biffa. Biffa the Hobbit to Beta Fett. I love the fantasy we're playing with here, Biffa the Hobbit. Great to have you back. AJ, Jesus effing Christ, should we try and do this?
As I said, guys, there are many angles. So, hey, especially for me, don't shoot the messenger. Well, yeah, I know the shots are going to be fired, but it is what it is. There are too many classics. We pick what we pick. Yeah. The nostalgia is what it is. So, yeah, that's my disclaimer. As always, I always have a small disclaimer for my...
And the porn's here. Let me just block the porn quickly. Block user. The porn has...
I was actually really excited to find out who was here. And you're like, the porn? I was like, the what? Yeah.
The porn is blocked. The porn is blocked. Cool. We may continue.
Right, okay. So in order to continue, Nico, would you like to tell everyone what the movie Mount Rushmore is all about, please, sir?
Basically, it's a top 10 show between two best friends from school. But how does the podcast actually work? Because it is also available on podcast on iOS, Android, and Spotify and all the regular podcast platforms. Here's how the show works. AJ and I each get assigned a topic. In this case, because as you can see right below me, right there, it says Fanuary. This one comes from, he's in the chat now, Mr. Andy Hart. This is Andy's pick, Fanuary, the top 10 70s movies. And I think he's almost kind of surprised that we did this because he said to me earlier on Twitter, you're actually doing this? It's like, yeah, we're good. We're doing it. So here's how the show works. AJ and I each get assigned a topic. We go our separate ways. We come right back here into recording. AJ, while I'm doing this, please block the porn in the comment section. Thank you, sir. There's lots of it coming through. We're doing something right. Here's how the show works. AJ and I each get assigned a topic. We go our separate ways. We come right back here into recording and deliver to you, the Silver Screen Dudes, the movie family, our friends, our dear movie lovers, our individual top 10s. AJ, because you went last time, first, it's my turn. This week, I will go first, delivering my bottom 3. AJ will then deliver his bottom 3. I will deliver my next 2. AJ will deliver his next 2. And then we will trade one apiece. If at any time, we are running off our individual top 10 lists, one person has a movie in a high position, that person will say,
punt.
Gavin, drink. That's a punt. And we will punt and talk about that movie when we get to the higher position. Once we have both rounded off our individual top 10s, we will create the movie Mount Rushmore. These are the 4 quintessential, diverse, must-see films of this genre, which this week is...
Top 10 70s movies.
Cheers, Andy. This is nuts. Right. In at number 10, a movie that I had been wanting to see for years and that I saw for the first time for this list. And Jesus Christ, it is fantastic. And I do think it merits being on here because it's quite different to everything else. I'm talking The Sting.
Bro, it's on the list and I didn't get a chance to see it.
What more do you want than Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid being reunited? Yeah. It's Paul Newman, it's Robert Redford, and it's Mr. Bernard Shaw. So... you got 3 powerhouses of acting here. What's brilliant about this movie is le plot, le narrative, the story, right? In case you don't know, Robert Redford essentially plays a grifter, right? So his job is to con people. The person who trains him to con gets killed. He then gets told to go and learn under the brilliant Paul Newman, right? Say, you see, this is how we've reunited them. They're going to pull a big con. And the person they're going to con happens to be none other than one of the biggest gangsters in Chicago, played by Bernard Shaw. Now, AJ, you think the con in Ocean's 11 was good? This is on another level. It is so your sort of film. There are, bro, put it this way. It's just the two of them essentially running it with a minor entourage of people who you'll, see and forget. But there's like 200-300 people that help them pull off this con who are all on their payroll. Like, we're talking about putting up fake bookies to lure the mobsters in. We're talking about creating fake, jumping into Western Unions on the facade that they're there to repaint it. We're talking about chases through alleys. We're talking about, as you know, Mr. Chris Trengrove's in the house, proper good Chicago, right? It is one of the greatest Chicago films I've ever seen. The twist after twist after twist in this film. It's just like, this is great. This is all sorts of great. And you can see where Ocean's got a lot of its ideas from.
That's good. Mate. It's just one of those names that's always like stuck out. Now that I'm hearing this, I'm like, I feel like I could watch it tonight. I know it's impossible because by the time a Rushmore normally finishes, I'm ready for bed. But
literally, right?
Yeah. Oh no, you got me. You sold me on that one, man.
You're not the only one I've got. Gavin Mann says, drinks water. Ha! Francis Lalonde, I think slightly ironically, says, did anyone see Star Wars? Few people might have. Few people might have. Andy Hart says, the sting is amazing. Good call, sir. Thank you, Andy. Francis Lalonde says, yeah, there's a couple of dead guys too. Iconic score in the sting from Pedro Santos. Then we've got YG saying, the Sting's theme is a prime example of so that's where that tune comes from.
Okay.
And now it's so popular that it's actually a Chelsea song now. Do you know this one? Double, double, double. John Terry has won the double. And that shit from the lane of one fuck all again, because John Terry has won the double. 2, 3, 4. It comes from it. The freaking thing was playing, and I completely subconsciously started going double, double, double. Holy shit! It was one of those weird moments. Bifford the Hobbit, aka Beta Fetz, is the person that told Paul Newman to gone was James L. Jones' father. I did not know that. Robert Shaw, not Bernard Shaw. Don't know why I said that. Sorry about that. Mixed Memorabilia says incredible film. Chris Trengrove, my God, agrees with me. This thing is solidly good stuff, though I don't love it like many others. That's fair. Pedro Santos correctly says the original Ocean's 11 preceded this thing. I actually thought about that as I said.
But in fairness, okay. I'll keep quiet. Yeah.
Will Johnson says Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Is that 70s?
It is.
Fuck. God damn it. Andy Hart says never get on the train with Robert Shaw. Ask Walter Matthau and Sean Connery. So true. From Russia with Love. I'm looking at you. Holy Grail or Life of Brian. Will Johnson. I can answer that. Holy Grail all day long. Although I know We Love Movies is going to kill me for that. Ozopsy says what streaming service is it on? The internet.
Make sure it's your own computer because you don't want to have to explain it to your parents. Yeah.
In at number 9. Surprised it was this low for me, but I just look at the quality of the other films and it's like, it's made the 10, it's done its job. It's a favorite here at the Movie Mount Rushmore, and it's certainly a favorite on Twitter. Rocky! Yeah.
Drinking time.
Drinking time. Saw that one coming. So that was my number 9. My number 8, Riri Thomas brought this up. Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Do you know, I know there's a film later on that I'm going to have on my list that you're going to be like, how did you put that over that? It was a matter of definitive. This film hurt me to not put it on.
Yeah.
Like, I was torn between this and another Nicholson, to be honest, for the 70s, but this edges it for me. I don't know if you've got another Jack Nicholson. Do you?
No.
Chinatown. I was torn.
It hurt. That killed me to leave that off.
I was torn as hell between the two, and I was like, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. There's just that bit more in the performance from Jack that really just made me say, yeah, I would have gone with it, but it's like my 11 or 12 in this thing. I know I shouldn't really do it because we might have yet another, but yeah.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, Chinatown would be my 11 or 12.
Yeah.
It's such a fucking great film.
Yeah.
Although it does kind of bring up the point that I made during my Spider-Man for No Way Home review, when I said it's funny how like Armie Hammer, he's cancelled because understandably J.K. Rowling, who actually did nothing wrong, if you read into it, she's cancelled because people just heard the word transphobic without even researching and went, cancel, right? Tobey Maguire, a legitimately nasty human being, he's fine. Roman Polanski, a noted kiddie fiddler, but we still like his movies.
Do you know?
What I mean? Cancel culture is weird.
Polanski,
it's inconsistent.
In honesty, is lucky because his exposure was pre-cancel culture. Tobey Maguire, for some reason, had it not been for this Spider-Man, right, would have been just like excommunicado. But however, this film just seems to be like we don't like you, but you've redeemed yourself, and it's wrong. There is no justification behind it. If you're gonna wave the flag for cancel, you have to wave the flag for cancel. But I must admit, I tend to appreciate the art over the artist at some points. I know I shouldn't. There is only one person who really sticks out in my cancel, and you know who that is. I might just,
AC.
Yeah. That's like the stick out for me. And do you know what I think it is? Like, there's being a wrong and then there's being the way you try to defend yourself to still try and be the good guy out of it. And that's where I just feel he is just scum. I honestly feel it was absolute scum. I think the whole way that Kevin Spacey decides to finally come out as a homosexual is as he's been exposed as a predator, and now that's when he wants to bring the whole LGBTQ plus community into it. I just found that absolutely vile. I that's where my skin crawled with this guy. I was like, nah, you're banged to rights with me. Like, you're cancelled.
No.
He does make the list partially a bit later on down the line, but yeah, scum. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Ozopsy says, cancel Rain because it gets you wet against your will. This is what I think of cancel culture. I think quite good.
It's quite one good. That I can't argue with. That's a very strong statement. But yes, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Let's bring it back. Funny enough, it was last year I saw it for the first time, and it blew me away, man. It has a lot.
How fucking good is Jack Nicholson in this role? But we all talk about Jack. Nurse Ratched, like evil bitch, evil bitch.
Evil, yeah, absolutely evil. Yeah, it's really strong the whole way through, and do you know one of the things that also hit me with this one is I happened to be around someone who had spent some time in facilities, and they were like, yeah, this is some of the dark side that they don't show you sometimes. You think it's all centers that are meant to help you when they don't, and some of the evil stuff that goes around it. Obviously this film was more exaggerated than you would, well, dare I say exaggerated, worse than what this person did experience, but it was just like, oh my god, what an evil bitch.
Bro, so evil. When you consider especially the fact that he went in, it was almost like he almost conned his way into the mental asylum. I know,
as opposed to the prison sentence. Yeah,
right. So he kind of almost cons his way into that, and it's like, hey, free ride at life. No.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, because you see him coming in one of the most casual ways, and you're like, the way he's so relaxed about it at first, you're like, but how did you even get in here? Like, who fell for this shit? And then the journey that he has to undertake from it is,
No.
Very, very nice. Very nice.
It's freaking tragic, man.
Yeah,
it's freaking tragic. All right, AJ, what is your number 10?
Well, would you know? Oh yeah, shit, that's 10-9-8. Wow, sorry. I was expecting you to go a bit further there. Sorry, my bad. Right, in at number 10. So this was the nostalgia act for me that I just love. It's the animation. Didn't know it was the 70s. I saw it listed when I was checking for films of the 70s. The 12 Tasks of Asterix. Bro, I know this might mean absolutely nothing to 101 people. Everyone watching. But I was very aware of Asterix and I read a few comics, but I always remember this. My dad got this VHS as a gift from his sister, my aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, oh, okay. And again, it's weird because you're a kid, your dad's a adult, yeah, and he's got a cartoon for his birthday. We're like, okay, fair enough, we'll do it. Watched it, and if I tell you that VHS, we burnt that tape sideways, man. Like I have watched that thing back and forth, and it's available on YouTube now. It's not in the original French. I've watched it as a dubbed English cartoon. At the time, it didn't even register to me that this was an original French cartoon. But it's literally Asterix versus Caesar, and it's this whole thing where the Romans wonder if the Gauls are gods, and by that Caesar has set the task of putting the Gauls to follow the 12 tasks that Hercules had gone through, and it's just Asterix and Obelix just taking on these tests along with a magic potion and just defying the odds. Spoiler if you wish. But each task and the way they outdo it was just absolutely hilarious. And it was. I've loved it. I've loved it for forever. And when I realized it was 70s, I'm like, it won't be Rushmore. It would be ridiculous to put it at number 1 or anything like that. But I have to mention the 12 Tasks of Asterix because I have I've never even seen any other Asterix cartoon, to be honest. I've read the comics.
Really? Oh, bro, they're good.
Bro, I just haven't, none of them have actually come my way. I've had a chance to read them, but never got a chance to watch any other.
The one I really cannot recommend enough is Asterix Visits the Britons. Okay. So good.
I'll give it a shot. Have you seen this one? Yeah, by any chance?
Yeah. Of course, bro.
Yeah.
This is a great question from Frank Torres. Since we're talking nostalgia, can any of you remember the last VHS tape you bought on release? Mine was Jerry Maguire in '96. I can, and I'm ashamed to say it was Anaconda.
Do you know? I believe mine might be a pretty cool one. I think the last VHS we got may have been The Matrix.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I think The Matrix may have been the last VHS, and after that we started to go into DVD. But I do remember my dad fast forwarding to the lobby scene. So yeah, that was a VHS. Yeah, my God. Yeah.
Francis says, "Don't diss Anaconda." Hey, Francis, I'm a big Anaconda. I like it. Listen, Anaconda's a guilty pleasure for me. I like Anaconda. It's dumb fun. Traveling Tommy says, "Jules, 25th anniversary VHS." Wow, that's a good one. Chris.
Anaconda don't want nothing unless you got buns,
hun. Frank Torres says Anaconda, pre-stardom J-Lo and John Voight and Ice Cube and Owen Wilson and Eric Stoltz and Pete Postlethwaite. No, that's not right. Jonathan Hyde. It had a crazy good cast.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. Andy says, I think my last VHS was Blade in 98 or 99. That's a good one. That's a really, really good one.
So this will definitely appeal to the UK.
Sorry, Mixed Memorabilia makes me laugh because you wouldn't have seen this, AJ, but Mixed Memorabilia on Twitter has like a DVD collection that may rival mine.
I think you sent me a screenshot. I can't remember, but I remember
it may rival mine. Not in terms of the movies on it, in terms of volume. I'm not sure yet. I have to count. But Mixed Memorabilia says that's it. Time to upload the VHS collection.
Nice.
Oh, it's very good.
Here's one. Pre-Netflix, pre-Amazon Prime. Do you remember Britannia Video?
Oh God, yes I do.
Because the minute I heard Blade, I remember ordering Blade through Britannia Video. That was an awesome purchase. That Blade. Independence Day. Richie Rich was another one I remember getting from Britannia.
Richie Rich. Fucking hey, that's a throwback. Francis Lalonde asks an equally great question. What about the first DVD bought? I actually remember this. And when you think about like when you move on to the new platform, it's to showcase how great the medium is, right? I got something stupid for my first one. Ali G in the house.
I think mine might have been Wild Wild West.
You win because that's way that's way worse.
I hadn't even seen it in the cinema or anything. I just remember like,
that's much shitter.
It was Will Smith. I was like, gotta get it. Yeah. Bit like Pokemon's got to catch them all. That was the only thing. It wasn't for anything else. Yeah.
AJ, you're number 9.
Right. In at number 9. This is the one that you're gonna like hate me for because I know you have nothing but hate for this film. But if you're gonna talk 70s, you're gonna talk musicals, it can't be dismissed. It's Grease Lightning. So yes,
punt.
I am impressed. Oh, fuck you. You didn't. You prick. All right, fair enough. It is what it is.
You prick.
Right, I know this is a punt, so I might as well just let you go into your number 7 straight away.
Go.
It's because it's just not my favorite, but I appreciate what it is.
The disrespect punt.
Of course. Yeah. So
the disrespect. What is he doing,
bro? You know me and that film. Me and the franchise are one thing, but that film was not the one for me. It is what it is. It is what it is. I appreciate what it is. I know it's going to be Rushmore. But yeah, episode 4 was not that one for me. Shoot me.
You're my best friend. I shall not. I'll slap you though. Jesus Christ.
Just not on Battleground because I kicked your ass on that. But anyway, we move on.
There. Oh, give me a diving spit. Anyway, my number 7. The Exorcist. Now you have to talk about this.
Bro, this was the one that I was like, if I wasn't so adamant to wave the flag for Asterix, this was the film that was going to be there. Because if we're going to, when I talk about definitive yes. Horror.
Yes.
This is it. I will let you take the thing. It's on your list. But yeah.
Listen, you've kind of said the perfect line there in that it is definitive horror. It still to this day scares me. I remember it being one of the first horror films. Now, it may scare me to this day simply because I had such fucking unpleasant memories of it when I was growing up, and that unpleasant experience growing up. I watched this film far too young. Now, here's the thing. I'm not in any way, shape, or form religious. Like, I don't go to... I'm not dissing anyone who is. I'm just saying I'm not. I don't really go to church. I mean, if you had to ask me if I'm anything, I've got a Buddha sitting up there. I'm Buddhist, but that's not a religion, is it? So... it's weird how these freaking exorcism movies fuck me up. Maybe I'm like a closet Catholic or something. I don't know. But like, you talk about The Conjuring, that fucking nun.
Valak.
Mm-hmm. Valak's a cunt. Fuck that nun. I hate that fucking nun. That nun is single-handedly the scariest thing in cinema. Fight me. I don't care. But yeah, that Reagan being possessed is, and you know what? Now more I think about it, now that I've got a little daughter, this makes me that much more like about it. Because if my little boo-boo got possessed, I don't give a fuck who you are, 666. You and me gonna throw down.
Yeah.
Bring your fucking goat hooves and fire to the party because we're gonna throw down, right? Fuck you. It's a terrifying movie. The possessions, the self-mutilation, the neck bend, the vagina crucifix. Do you know what really upsets me is the spider walk? Is that it's so horrible, bro. It's so horrible.
Do you know what? It's stand out, but it was also revolutionary. Like, you have to appreciate what they done. They really took it to a new level for horror. Yeah, it's
And
It
what they
had
did
so
that was
much.
so brilliant, it was the atmosphere they created, like everything. Even when there was no horror scenes, you still felt this kind of foreboding
Yeah, unease.
atmosphere.
It was just you can't relax in this film.
It's just a hard watch. Like, are there scarier films out there? Yes and no. And I mean that, yes and no, because it depends what you're after.
Do you know what
But-
it is? As much as it's visual, this is very psychological as well. Like, it has you in a, how do you challenge it? Like, you take, I don't want to mention any other horror because potentially they're on your list, yeah? But you have your, okay, all right. You have your monster that's visual who can, let me take it like 80s, for instance, like Freddy. Like, okay, it's weird because he's in your dreams, but you know who Freddy is, you can see him. This is a possession. This is like, how do you challenge something that's inside something you love? Like,
the very idea of possession I find horrible. Horrible.
Yeah. I get it. It's a powerful film, and people talk about like the effects of the Joker when they went to the cinema, and should this person see it, and oh my god, this one's going to do that. I think that's a heap of shit.
The people who said that are the same people who blame the Columbine shooting on Marilyn Manson.
However, when I hear about people being freaked the fuck out, people throwing up in the middle of the cinema for this film, I get it. This is the thing. When we talk about traumatic cinema experiences, I think this is one of those films that just
you got to look at it as a time capsule. What you're saying here too, because now we're far more decensored to what horror delivers because there's been so much innovation in the horror genre. You mentioned Freddy, you've got Jason, you've got Michael Myers, and that's just the 80s and kind of bit 70s as well.
But I think but that's why I didn't want to mention it in case they didn't make my list. But yeah,
no, nor mine. But then you've got all of the Asian horror stuff with things like The Ring and Shutter, and horror's and then you've got kind of the gross outs with things like Hostel, and then it went back to kind of like a mix between Asian and European with what James Wan's doing. Horror's been through an amazing journey since the 70s, but you got to remember pre-70s. Things was very, very, drink your milk and eat your veggies squeaky clean. Like The Exorcist.
Well, you're kind of dealing with like your Hammers. As much as I enjoy those,
right?
Different thing to The Exorcist.
Hammers like it's B movie. It's almost self-aware B movie, right? To be fair, Nosferatu back in the 30s had a very unsettling atmosphere, but it was a silent movie. But there was nothing like The Exorcist, to my knowledge, until the 70s came along. And this is just a perfect example of how the 70s really pushed the boundaries of what art can do visually. And for that reason, it makes the list.
Yeah. It was where I wanted to put it. And the numbers were toying with me. And I relied heavily. I think I would have been very pissed if you didn't have it, because I felt like it needed to be mentioned. But I was like, I could sacrifice it because I know Nick must have it. If you didn't, I'd have probably had to find something to sacrifice. If we both got to number one, I was like, right, okay. I said this was number 8. Yeah. Damn, it's a strong movie. It's a strong movie.
Yeah. Chris Trengrove says The Exorcist is my scariest movie of all time. Andy Hart says Nico punting Grease as a meme goes. I see what you did there. Fair play. Good call. Sorry, AJ. Oh man, yeah. And it seems that there's a lot of I can't read all the comments because there's a lot of that have come through here, but there's a lot of love for William Friedkin and for The Exorcist in the comments. So
rightfully so.
Damn right, rightfully so. So that was my number. Drink. Right, my number 6. My number 6 is my other horror. Yeah, and it's definitely a horror. It's a sci-fi horror. Alien.
Guess what?
Your number 6?
Yeah.
Completely pushed the boundary again.
Yeah. And how dare I say, if you're going to look at sci-fi horror, this is the one. Like, forget it. I can't even think of any other. What, Freddy versus Jason in space? Like, fuck off. Like, no.
There's one really good sci-fi horror that comes to mind. You may not have seen it. It's called, with Sam Neill, Event Horizon.
I heard of it, actually.
Event Horizon's really good. Lawrence Fishburne, I believe, is also in that. It's
Yes, I think
really,
he was, yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I mean, the cast in this movie is, you know, obviously the goddess Sigourney Weaver. You know, you've got Tom Skerritt, you've got John Hurt, you've got Veronica Cartwright, you got Harry fucking Dean Stanton, Mr. I'm in Everything, Ian Holm. I think he's dead now, isn't he, Harry Dean Stanton?
Ooh.
Yeah, he died a few years ago. You've got Ian Holm, who's also now sadly died. Yaphet Kotto. Do you remember Yaphet Kotto?
Yes, I will be bringing him up later, actually.
Good.
Actually, while we're just on the case of those who have passed, including Yaphet Kotto, R.I.P. Betty White, that would just not say that.
Whoa.
That threw me off. Like,
Losing
New Year's Eve,
Betty
you're there, and I think it's even not that an age means anything, but to know she was just around the corner from 100, like, damn.
She lived a full life though. Betty.
Oh yeah,
So, you know, we're not talking like a Chadwick Boseman, you know, thing here. She lived a full life. She was the Golden Girl, for fuck's sake.
Of course, with the highest respect. As a kid, the Golden Girls were old. Like, it was just like she just seemed to, like, the energy as a body. She just kept on going, you know. But with in an endearing way. I'm not saying that in a like, when are you going to pass women? Like, it was such a shocker to read that in the middle of like New Year's Eve, just there working away. Look at my phone. Like, excuse me, what? Like, couldn't even get the words out. It just didn't make sense. But yeah,
it was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Andy Hart says Alien on my list too. Francis Lalonde says, just got a copy of Event Horizon, haven't watched it yet. Drink. Christian Grove says, Event Horizon, Nico, love the Paul W.S. Anderson shout. Kodo also died recently. Yeah, 2020.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Gavin Mann says, good to see Alien to make this episode and also the pregnancy episode. Yes. It's 100% about pregnancy. Like, that's beyond dispute, that one. But yeah, let's talk this fucking masterpiece of a movie.
Again, when we talk, look, to be fair, in the whole sci-fi horror, the only other one you could bring up was Event Horizon. Yeah. And I'm not, you know, maybe you scratch our heads a little harder, we might come up with some more. But that's what this was, is that you expect one thing from it and you got something on top of it, you know? Yeah. I would like to know what the marketing was like originally. I must admit, I've never actually stopped to go back and look at an Alien trailer to so if it was.
Oh, they're great, bro.
You know, I've never done
it's not that typical old, you know, in a world.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great.
Again. All right, let's just call it, because it's one of the parts that no one's gonna forget. One of the best, if not the best, jump scare ever in a film. And we talk about
realest one too, because motherfucker didn't tell his cast what was coming.
And this is the thing, it's like we talk about what The Exorcist must have done. Could you imagine? I kind of knew it was coming. I was aware of it when I saw the film, so you know, you're always waiting for it. As you said, the cast didn't know about it. Imagine being at like one of the early screenings of this film, and we're talking about a world where there isn't no, you know, like, don't spoil the end game. Like, there was no Twitter, there is no social media to put it out there for you. You just go, and unless you got some knob cheese of a friend who's going to be like, oh, you wouldn't believe it, man. There's like, that has to be one of the biggest shit shakers in the history of cinema.
Yeah, big time.
It also just shocked me. I mean, okay, granted, we're talking late 70s, but I was always very shocked when I first realized that this film was a 70s movie. It's like, you know, you're an 80s kid and you think, oh, this was around the time I was born, or maybe just a bit before. Like, I was very shocked when I first, you know, you look back and like, in the 70s, like, it feels ahead of its time in many respects as well. I truly appreciate a lot that Aliens got to deliver.
And Gavin Mann's actually brought up another great jump scare. Who thought the biggest jump scare was when the alien catches Dallas? The build up before is absolutely terrifying. That's when he's in the in the vents.
Yeah.
So scary. But this is the thing that I love about this film, right? Is that the alien is so much more than an alien. I've said this before in old episodes. It's literally a stalking serial killer. It is a serial killer movie in space, just personified in this case by a horrible cunt, the xenomorph.
This is the and that's the thing, sometimes you could take I'm going to quote a film you hate, but you can take something like Scream and you have this serial killer in a small suburban town, but essentially if you wanted to flee, you could leave the small town. Obviously, if they want to chase you, they can. Ain't no way you can run the spaceship. it just makes it so much more contained that it just makes it that bit more uncomfortable, and it's available to, like we talk about the air vents and stuff like that, just certain areas that even uncomfortable places, it's comfortable to chase you in there and shit like that. It just has you very tense.
Speaking of tense, if we're switching mediums here, for the gamers out there, I cannot encourage you enough, if you're an Alien fan, to play Alien Isolation. So scary.
Do you know what? I'm looking forward to getting back into gaming, if I'm honest with you.
My man's got his PS5.
What do you? I'm getting my PS5. They've taken the money, but I get it like the 27th. How dare you take my money on the 23rd of December and I get it 27th of January? But hey, I'm still grateful, so I shan't complain.
You getting a PS5? You good?
That's the one, bro.
And I'm reading your comments, guys. Pedro Sanctos referencing things like Jodorowsky's Dune. I mean, the knowledge you guys have is nuts. I think it was Pedro also mentioned. Was it Pedro who mentioned something about the influence of German expressionism on Alien? Of course, H.R. Geiger, right? Or Giger, as some people call him. Tucky making this brilliant comment. Love the story of how the late Balaji Badejo was spotted in a pub by the casting team because of his size and ends up playing one of the most iconic movie monsters ever. The knowledge that our film community have, AJ, is nuts.
Edutainment. I love it. And the fact that we can just be here hosting the edutainment, yet being edutained at the same time, fucking blows me away. I love it. I love
Mixed
it.
Memorabilia says Aliens 3 on the Mega Drive. Do you know what? I'm going to say something that I hope doesn't break the internet. I think Aliens 3, or Alien 3 as it's called, is an underappreciated movie. I think that film gets unfair shtick. I said it.
When you follow Aliens, which is like, regardless, probably the everyone's favorite, it's kind of hard to be the follow-up sometimes, isn't it?
It's a split between Alien and Aliens in the comments, but yeah, I mean, Aliens is fucking great. The shit show was Alien Resurrection. That film sucked. AJ, what's your number 7?
Right, in at number 7 for me, sir. Where are we? I don't know if this made your list. Probably might have just missed. I don't know. Gene Wilder, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I left it off because I knew that was all you.
I always say it. The film blew me away, but it always catches a soft spot because it's one of the first books I remember reading, like independently. Roald Dahl was a huge collection for me, and I remember reading it. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Glass Elevator, and then I was like, they made a film of this? I need to see it. And it deviates from the book, but it's true to the book at the same time. Yeah. And that's what I loved about it. You never get exactly what you get from a book, but this one gave me quite a bit from it. And all the pictures and faces and people you start to picture, they really stayed true to character in the film. And Gene Wilder is Willy Wonka, right? R.I.P. Gene Wilder. But it just gave what you needed, It was just the magic, and it was seeing the Chocolate Factory come to life.
Good day, sir. Carry on.
Yeah, exactly. It was just magical. It was, to me, I've read a lot of Disney books with my parents growing up, like 101 Dalmatians, Little Mermaid, all of that stuff, Robin Hood. They were books based off of the Disney cartoons, so you knew exactly what you were doing. This was one of the first that I actually saw a book come to life. It wasn't just like a tie-in. This was the book. This is the movie. Here it was, and it has stuck with me because of that. The emotion and the warmth I get picturing that is I just can't compare it. And yeah, it's just magic to me. It was just magical seeing it, and even stuff like it's weird, but you just picture like the Oompa Loompas, and you're like, oh my god, like the short people there. It's weird but real. Like everything was just so larger than life. It just captured me.
Well, not the Oompa Loompas, but yeah.
I was gonna go there. You can't say the Oompa Loompas followed by larger than life. I know exactly that was the worst link ever.
That was the worst segue ever. It's larger than life.
That,
yeah. Oompa Loompa.
do.
Oh
right,
dear.
And even stuff like what was that? Violet being the one who was just taking the sugar, but just seeing her. You're like, what the hell? You just
Willy Wonka quiz. Can you name all the kids?
No, fuck no.
I can.
Go for it.
Fuck you.
I've just said no. I'm not gonna scratch my head and pretend I can.
All right, that's a challenge to everyone. First one to be able to successfully name all the Wonky kids in the chat without cheating, asking Dr. Google would be great.
And if you can and honestly do it, then if we are stuck, you are the person who gets to name the fourth movie in the Rushmore.
Yeah. Ooh, no, the Rushmore's already decided, and you don't even realize it.
Listen, I pretty much can. I shit you not. I could pretty much do it, but just in case.
Here's a comment that'll break the internet and possibly break AJ in the process.
Is this Chris? Oh,
Tucky says, I probably prefer the Tim Burton version, but I like the original too.
Tucky.
Look the face. Look how hungry.
No. It's not even anger. It's just.
Do you want me to make it worse? Declan agrees. Same Tucky.
What? I couldn't. I honestly couldn't with that film. Johnny Depp just didn't have what I was looking for. He just didn't. It just didn't hit the same. And I like Johnny Depp. This is what hurts me more. It was a lot of build-up because I thought, you know what, they might actually be able to create a magic for me, and it just didn't work. That and Alice in Wonderland, at 2 times Johnny Depp has really let me down in terms of films that I was hoping he
Toto, The Lone Ranger.
I didn't even watch that. I'll be honest. I just knew it was going to be shit. But those two, I actually thought he was good.
There was that crazy, stupid computer one where he goes inside of the computer. That was.
Bro, I'm not saying Johnny Depp is blameless in films, but those are two. No, but these two are 2 films that I thought he was going to really deliver in the roles, and it just went left. There's difference to Johnny Depp movie. Fuck, that was shit. Versus he's going to smash that role. Like, dude, how did you fuck it up? Obviously, Tucky and Declan are going to disagree with that statement, but I just felt like it wasn't there.
Andy's not a fan of your choice, AJ. Not seen the Burton, and the original was okay at best. Soz.
As I said, it was the magic of seeing the first book I read in film. There was a great connection to me with that. I just can't deny it. Really, it was that connection. It just felt. It was unreal.
Frank Torres says, just wait till the Chalamet version comes out. Wait, what now? What?
It's a prequel, though. It's a prequel. He is playing Willy Wonka.
Timothy Chalamet playing
Willy Wonka. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so fucking there.
Yeah. But it's a prequel. I'm not sure what it is, but it's a prequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's the story of him, which sometimes can be scary because bear in mind, prequels can be, obviously it's different, but you
can get Revenge of the Sith. I get it.
No, I was going more Emma Stone as Cruella. It's like
sometimes
sucks. You don't need.
Well played.
You don't need a prequel to a certain story.
And if you're going to do the prequel, at least end the fucking prequel how it should be ended. Because the ending of the prequel that Cruella movie made no sense. It's like, so hang on. Where we pick up in the animated version is she's psycho bitch and she wants to skin the Dalmatians and get their fur.
Yeah,
right?
She's dropped off the Dalmatians to her.
She's dropped off the Dalmatians whose kids she's going to skin. Like, what?
Yeah, it was random as fuck. It didn't make any sense. Like the build up, but again, here's another thing that you want me to, and obviously we've got stuff like Maleficent. You want me to sympathize with the villain obviously Willy Wonka's not a villain, so it's not that much the same. But it's that whole. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Oz the Powerful and Great, even though that
the Great and Powerful,
whichever way. It's about Oz. It's James Franco, but yeah, it's that I enjoyed that story in the build up as to how ours turned up there. And that's the thing. It can work, but sometimes it doesn't need a prequel and it can go wrong. But I don't think Chalamet's performance is going to be shit. Like, I believe in what he's going to deliver.
Performance and Chalamet don't go in the same sentence.
Bro, I'm just being... but you get what I'm saying. I just hope the story sticks. Like, yeah. Okay.
Who did we had to get a Wonka prequel goes on the completely unnecessary list, says Pedro Santos. This is an interesting point. We're going to go on our first proper tangent because while I agree with that,
your audio is getting a bit low, bro.
Bonjour. While I do agree with this comment that it goes on the completely unnecessary list, let me say the record. I agree with that.
When you go that low, you completely lose it.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome
cool.
back.
We'll just leave it like that. No movie ever in the history of cinema was quote unquote necessary. These are forms of entertainment and forms of art that are primarily put out by the studios to make money. So although I agree, listen, coming from a completely nuanced, poetic point of view of, do we really need a Willy Wonka prequel? No. But by that same token, did we need it? Can I spoil Spider-Man yet, or is it too soon?
I think the internet may have... It's hard. Leave it. Pick another one. Rogue One.
Did we need to have some of the things and people that appeared in Spider-Man No Way Home happen? No. But it was fun.
Listen, not only did we have 3 films build up to A New Hope, we also had Rogue One come in between that trilogy and the actual film, because you can.
By the way, hashtag Rogue One is a prequel and Solo is a prequel. Sorry, I always love to get that out there when people say the prequels are shit. Rogue One's a prequel.
Yeah, it's not part of the prequel trilogy, but it's a prequel.
But it's a prequel. Rogue One's a prequel. So is Solo.
But then some people will say that Solo is a shit prequel. Disagree entirely.
On what?
That Solo's a shit prequel.
Who thinks that Solo is a bad movie? Bro, I rewatch the Star Wars movies once a year, every year with my wife at Christmas time. That's kind of our Christmas tradition. We binge watch the Star Wars movies. Solo is a good film.
I know this. The rest of the world may not agree. Big Tone being one of them, but hey.
Listen, he likes unlimited power. There's no saving that story.
But you get where I'm going with this. Like, I know he's not on an island with this. There are many people who are like, oh, I don't care for Solo. I'm very disappointed in those people.
All of it brings back Darth Maul. I thought even your boy Woody Harrelson, I thought was great in it. I thought that Alden Ehrenreich, considering the boots he had to fill in Harrison Ford's place, was a good Solo.
He was.
There's nothing wrong with this movie.
I'm aware that I'm very casual, bordering. I wouldn't say a hater to Star Wars, but like very, very casual. Like, it's here or there to me. I actually really enjoyed this one. Like, very much enjoyed it. Like, when we done our top 10 Star Wars, it was like my number 2 or something. But like, you can't hate on this thing.
No,
it's a serious movie.
Yes. It really is good. Like that whole train set piece when they're trying to rob the coaxium off the train. I get such snow pisser vibe. Obviously, it's a train in the snow, but
oh, really, what linked those two to you?
Yeah, right. But no, I get that set piece is awesome. And the Kessel Run, people are like, it sucked. I'm like, no, it didn't. The Kessel Run was amazing.
I caught adventure with Solo. I don't know how people could get otherwise. I really just caught a cool adventure when I watched Solo. Like, honestly, I was like, this is cool. But hey.
But do we digress?
It didn't have unlimited power. So
Declan doesn't agree. Solo is terrible. Declan, what are you doing to me, man?
I mean, Declan, you're 2 for 2 right now in terms of heartbreak, bro.
Yeah, Tim Burton plus Solo, no. The other way around.
It is what it is. This is what I love about film. It's subjective.
Completely. There's no right or wrong here. AJ, what that was your number 7. We've done your number 6. So over to my number 5, yeah?
Yeah.
Question mark Martin Scorsese's best film? Taxi Driver.
I definitely knew you had this, but Taxi Driver, I also have to stick out as a film that, yes, my best friend, who is to the left of me, I don't know if it's to the right to some people, but whatever, gave me a set of VHS. Casino. Goodfellas and Taxi Driver. This was the one I had the most difficulty in embracing, and I've always said I have to go back to it, and I haven't, and that's why it definitely didn't make this list. I know it's a very good film, but I don't want to say too smart for me, but I was like,
Gavin, man.
wow,
Drink, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Den's in. Hey, y'all. But then Den said Solo sucks. No. Incorrect. Carry on with Taxi Driver.
So for me, it's a film that was very, very psychological. I had to take in the character a lot, and I started to get a bit. It needs a rewatch for me. That's as simple as it is. Like I get it's a good film. I didn't dislike it, but I was more confused than I wanted to be, and that's why it couldn't make my list, if I'm honest.
It is such an amazing both character study and social study. And it captures New York City in such an amazing time capsule. I've only been to New York the one time, and you saw on Instagram, I literally went around New York capturing every single famous film location that I could, right? Bro, there's that street where Taxi Driver was filmed, where you had De Niro walking, like the poster I just pulled up. It's me being a bit romantic as a movie fan, but I was standing there and I was like, Scorsese was looking at De Niro hit. I was like, this is fucking awesome. This is awesome.
You can't help but do this stuff. Like, as you know, recently, as you know, I was locked down due to the global B, and I've watched a lot of action movies, and you start to look at parts of London, and I'm quite lucky that where I work is very central. So I even play the game now of, can I spot my workplace when these films are on? Like, it's all kinds of awesome. And this is the thing I can imagine you were doing in New York. If you're seeing that road, you're seeing that moment, you're like, so this is where this was taking place. I'm a sucker for set pieces. Like, it's my shit. Like, took the miss. I don't know if I sent you the link. I need to send you a link of me and the missus when we went to the Friends set piece. Loved it. Freaking awesome. And I can only imagine where you've got live action roads, and they'll be like, yeah, so it's filmed right here. And then picturing them like locking down the freaking road to do these things, man. Like, yeah, all kinds of awesome.
Yeah, I mean the way that Scorsese depicted New York, and that when I went to New York, that New York doesn't exist anymore. Freaking former Mayor Rudy Giuliani has literally cleaned it up. Like, Scorsese's New York is a thing of the past. It does not exist anymore. And I walked, well, maybe it exists outside of Manhattan, but I walked over the course of a few days the entire length of Manhattan, top to bottom, Harlem to Battery Park. I did the whole thing. It's not as big as you think.
Okay.
Not as big as you think. But yeah, that was in New York I went hunting for, and it doesn't exist anymore. So it is such an amazing time capsule to have captured New York at that moment, and to show how the mean streets, ironic that it's another Scorsese movie, but the mean streets of New York completely, basically John Wick, excommunicado this man who was, for all intents and purposes, a Vietnam War vet. I love this unreliable narrative thing Scorsese has going on with him. I love the way that he has this ever-changing and continuously deteriorating view and outlook on life. It's fucking flawless, this film.
I do need to rewatch. That's one. That is one for me on my rewatch list for sure. Wish I could add more.
Well, also Jodie Foster playing an underage hooker, not cool.
Yeah, I do remember that, and that kind of threw me off as well. I do remember that. Now that you say that just one of the flashbacks of the film.
And Harvey Keitel describing all the ways that Travis can fuck her, just no rough stuff, and it's like, she's a kid. She's a kid.
Yeah. Very, very uncomfortable stuff.
She's a kid. Anyway, you're number 5.
Right. It had to be done. There were 3 things sure in life, my friend.
Death, taxes, and AJ talking about comic book movies. You actually brought in a fucking comic book movie in the 70s.
Do you hate this man?
No, I do not hate this man.
You couldn't have thought I was talking Spidey because that was no way.
For a moment, I did.
No. Christopher Reeve was Superman, right? It had to be mentioned. It had to be mentioned.
Hashtag Cavill is my Spider-Man. Superman
maybe.
even.
No, he is my Superman. If I'm honest, Christopher Reeves isn't even my second. That's
Brandon Routh?
Fuck off. No, he's my second in film. He's my second in film, but overall Superman is my third. I'm a Dean Cain sucker, man. I used to watch Lois and Clark all the time. It just takes me as a Superman.
Damn.
Yeah. But I do appreciate what he was. He was the first Superman, potentially the first superhero movie I saw. And that's what makes him more kind of awesome. It obviously has the unmentionable Lex Luthor, but hey, we've touched on that part already of Mr. KS. But
hang on, in this one, it's Gene Hackman playing him.
Yes, sorry, of course, yeah, I'm confused.
KS is in Superman Returns.
The Brandon Routh stuff, yeah.
You're safe. This is Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman.
God, how the hell did I blur those two? That is unforgivable.
That's a discussion for you and yourself.
Yeah, that's not even 85 brain. That's just fucked. That was really wrong. But yeah, it's the Man of Steel. Do you know what's funny? As it moves on, and as you said, Henry Cavill is my Superman. We won't get into the potential write-off with this new potential Flashpoint coming up. But
don't.
This is in a time when I actually worshipped Superman, and this is what was fun. This is what's the nostalgia kicks in with this film. The older I got, the more I was like, I'm not so much a Superman fan. He's too clean. He's too pure. He's too innocent. He doesn't push the edge, and that's when more and more Batman became like, I like your style, you know. But if you're talking of that wholesome, strong, statuesque character, it was there.
Do you know what Chris Trangrove says to you?
Go.
Hashtag Superman is a bad character.
I agree. As time has evolved, I agree. But I also will go back and say, listen to the monologue of Kill Bill. And that puts on a lot of perspective of who Superman is and what it's all about.
We've got to address this question. Sorry to cut you off mid-sentence, but this is one for the two of us, mate. Pedro Sanctos says, Christopher Reeves, best casting for superhero film ever.
No, I mean, we both just called Cavill. We both just called Cavill a Superman.
But he's not only, I'd say Christopher Reeves is no way the best casting for superhero film ever. He's not even the best casting for Superman ever. We both called Cavill.
True. This is true.
Cavill over Reeves any day of the week. But for me, there's a clear winner on who the best piece of superhero film casting is. It's Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Nothing touches that. People are going to pull Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I think he was terribly cast. He's a 6'2". Wolverine is a squid. Like, don't get me wrong. I adore Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
But by the comic book lore.
But he's miscast. He's completely miscast. Now, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. He was born to play that. The only one I could say that maybe comes close would be Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those two are the two best castings ever.
You know what? And again, this is just me when it came to fantasy casting, way before they was even talking of an Iron Man movie. I pictured Depp as Stark, and that always played with me a bit. But then I grew to love Downey Jr. more and more as Stark. And that's the thing. So I always have this thing of, in terms of perfect casting, just because I initially pictured Depp should have been Stark, it's always kind of played with me. But the more he owned it as the Marvel films went on, the more you're like, yeah, you are Iron Man. Like, you are right. There is no other. So yeah, I don't think Christopher Reeves was, but I think in that era, there would have been no one better. That is a fact. If you talk about in this period when this film was made, he is exactly what you're looking for. He was able to play both sides very well as well. You know, he was an awesome Clark Kent. He was a brilliant Superman. And you can't get that in a lot. Like, again, when you talk Spider-Man, people are like, oh, Maguire was a good Spider-Man, but it was a terrible Peter Parker. You know, Garfield was a brilliant you know, you have your arguments of who's who. He does play both very well. He can play both sides well. So in that time, for the era, yes, we have gone way above that since then. And yeah, Cavill may top it.
I'm seeing some other interesting choices here. Andy Hart says Hemsworth as Thor. Declan says Ledger as the Joker. Den says Patrick Stewart. All great.
Patrick Stewart was actually
Robert
born
Downey.
to play. Patrick Stewart was actually born to play Xavier. Now, bear in mind, I was watching X-Men the cartoon as a kid. My dad was a huge Star Trek fan, right? The minute I'm seeing Jean-Luc Picard on screen, I'm like, this is Professor Xavier. So when it came, I was like, there was no better. Can I also say, Kelsey Grammer is Beast?
That was good. But I still maintain Downey Jr. as Iron Man. It was single-handedly the most important piece of movie casting, arguably, ever. If that movie flops, we don't have the MCU.
Bro, I'm not.
If that movie flops, we don't have the biggest franchise. This is not my favorite franchise, the MCU, but it's beyond a fucking question now. It is the biggest franchise ever. It's not debatable.
The numbers speak for itself.
The numbers are there. The amount of talent that has been attracted to that project, the ongoing storyline. It is the biggest franchise of all time. It's not an opinion. That's just a fact at this point.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is the reason that this thing had a fire lit under its ass.
There is no denying that. I mean,
you fuck up the Iron Man casting, you do not have the MCU. So for that reason, Downey Jr. is the best piece of superhero casting ever.
But hold on. Just because you've done it well doesn't mean you were the best. It's a weird argument.
He embodied Tony Stark, man.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, all right. I'm not going to argue it too much because I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just.
Oh, Pedro's got a good one though. This is brilliant. J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh yeah,
so good.
Oh yeah. Born.
So good.
Yeah. And that's why when it was like he was good as Gordon, but it's like you're J. Jonah Jameson, man.
You really are. Mixed memorabilia and Chris Tranggrove say Danny DeVito is the Penguin.
I was also going to say I can't remember.
It's the cooler. It's Mr. Freeze. Come on.
The guy who played Alfred in the original 3 Batman movies.
Michael Goff.
Yeah, he was a good Alfred.
Sure.
When you're talking like lower level characters, like he was a good Alfred. We deviate. This was the Man of Steel brought to life. This was, again, we actually saw the guy fly. If you go back to how you could go to YouTube now, you take the Spider-Man TV series, you could tell the dude was crawling on a projector, and he always just seems to perch on the same seat. This done a lot. This done a lot for superhero movies. It changed it. It delivered a lot. I also remember seeing this film and then happened to go to Madame Tussauds and seeing the waxwork of.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we all went together to that, didn't we?
We did, but I remember going as a kid.
Me and it was Tomo, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That's why I was like, yeah. Are you sure you want to bring it up? But yeah.
My ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. That was fun. But it was just wild. Like in a time when you, as a kid, you're just blown away by all superheroes. You're just seeing the Man of Steel. Like it's not a cartoon, and that's the thing. I don't even remember seeing Superman cartoons. I remember just seeing Superman flying and stuff, man. So, thank you, Christopher Reeve, for that that memory, and kicking off my passion in superhero films, possibly.
And by the way, just one thing here. Gavin Mann says still want to see Nick Cage as Superman. So there was a movie that had been written. They had made the suit for it. Nick Cage was cast. He'd done a reading for it. And it was meant to be directed by Tim Burton. It never happened. And someone who Cook 45 in the chat, Den will know, because we used to watch the show. He was a member of the Collider crew before he sadly passed away from a blood difficulty. John Schnepp made a fantastic documentary called The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. And it's all about the troubled production of Superman Lives with Nicolas Cage. So Gavin Mann, if you want to see Nick Cage as Superman, go and watch that documentary because they've actually got some takes from it in there.
I remember you telling me about that, and I've not.
I believe it's on Amazon.
Give that a shot. So that was my number 5, sir. Over to you with your number 4.
Oh, sorry, I can't agree with that. Den saying that Wesley Snipes saved Marvel, bullshit. Sorry, he made one of the coolest Marvel movies ever. They downplayed that Blade movie so hard as a Marvel film. Like, no, come on now.
Yeah, that Blade saved Marvel possibly financially possibly, but not in terms of a film franchise.
No,
like, no one knew they were going to go and watch comic book film.
No, they were seeing a fucking Wesley Snipes vampire movie.
Exactly.
Right, my number 4. May piss off a lot of people who think this should be higher. Count yourselves lucky I'm even putting this on my list because, yes, I've come to appreciate this movie, The Godfather. I know this is not on your list, AJ.
It was going to be, but it was going to be so high up that I just don't even disrespect the film. So just leave it there. And I know your appreciation has built for it, so I knew it was going to be on the list.
And sorry,
had we still been haters to it,
John Favreau saved Marvel, not Robert Downey Jr. The two are not mutually exclusive. And now we go back to The Godfather.
Had we still been the two guys who didn't have love for this, I would have put it on because I know it needed. There was no way we could omit it. Put it that way. But I know your appreciation has built for it, so I let you run with it.
It has built. I maintain that this is the best of the Godfather movies. I still think number 2 is a bit bloated, a bit laborious, and I do believe also that number 3 makes number 2 better, which I know is a wildly unpopular thing to say given what seems to be universal hate for number 3. I do not understand that. I enjoy Godfather Part 3. Godfather Part 3 finishes off the story and it shows the fallout of the Godfather Part 2. So I actually don't quite have ever got my head around why Part 3 is held with such disdain.
Are they all 3 hour-long movies?
3, I believe, is shorter. Bro, Part 2 is a beast of a film and it feels like it's 3 hours.
Okay.
Part 1 is hands down my favorite. I'm just, again, we're gonna use a wrestling term here. I'm such a mark for Marlon Brando. It's ridiculous.
Jor-El.
Just for reference while we're on it. Jor-El, freaking, he'll come up again on my list in a moment. But A Streetcar Named Desire, like the guy was just fucking money, man. And I know that it's Michael Corleone's story, but I just think that people talk about how what was interesting was to see like the rise of Vito in the second movie with the, paralleled with the fall of Michael. I found the first one to be so much more interesting in that sense, seeing Vito keeping Michael away from all of it, but Michael being pulled in towards it all, somewhat against his will, somewhat by necessity. I thought that was a much more interesting parallel than a rise and fall story. Godfather Part 1 really does resonate with me more and more and more now as I've seen it. It really resonates with me.
Do you know what I hate about it? I mean, the length was always going to throw me off. But I think it's the overhype. Like, had I just watched The Godfather without do you know what it is? I think it's also the emphasis on gangster to it. I could be wrong. I think the emphasis on gangster, it's missold. You're looking for hits here, there, and everywhere. And it's not that. I think if you just take it for maybe the family, before Vin Diesel, maybe you might appreciate it a lot more than, the way it's portrayed by people. I don't know.
It's good. Even if you don't watch all 3 of them, I suggest you go back and watch the first one.
By the way, I want to do all 3.
I believe they've got a movie coming out starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Oscar Isaac called Francis and the Godfather. And I believe Oscar Isaac is playing Francis Ford Coppola and Jake Gyllenhaal is playing the producer whose name I am blanking on. Tip of my tongue, can't remember it.
Okay, interesting. Huh? That'd be interesting. But I feel it's only right to watch the film first before.
Well, because remember that they didn't want to make this movie. Like Francis Ford Coppola really had to fight to get this movie made, especially considering that the original book isn't set in New York; it's set in Kansas, and Coppola wanted to set it in New York. That was a huge fight over that. That aside, what's your number 4?
Right, so this was the film that I learnt about on New Year's Day. Believe it or not, it's Richard Pryor, but it's not a comedy. You mentioned Yaphet Kotto earlier. It's Richard Pryor, Harvey Keitel, Yaphet Kotto, Blue Collar. Seen
It'll
it?
make a lot of people happy. Yep, I've heard of it on Twitter. I have not seen it. So here's to me drinking.
Bro, so it was just the weirdest thing ever. We were literally talking comedy. We were talking about Eddie Murphy, who was the greatest comedian. And John, God bless you, mate, you were telling me that he was telling me Richard Pryor's the greatest comedian. And we talked about the influences of Pryor influencing Murphy influencing Chris Rock and what have you. And he goes, but I'm going to tell you this. He goes, one day, I think it's on iPlayer. He said he saw it. I don't know if it's still there now. I got it off the internet. No lies on that. He was like, I saw this film and it said Richard Pryor, and I thought, here we go. It's a comedy. Let me watch it. He goes, it is not a comedy. This is Richard Pryor showing he can act. He was fucking amazing in this film. And bro, I can't help but agree. And it's funny because when the film first starts, you kind of get this touch that Richard Pryor is going to give you a bit of comedy. Like it's basically about they're steel workers. They work in a factory that makes cars and stuff. I think at one point it looks like they're making taxis in the beginning of the film. And
sounds a little bit full Monty at the moment.
No.
Steel workers.
But what happens? Well, it's not steel, but like car manufacturers, and it's this whole relationship of them between the company and the union. But you know how the union's meant to represent you. Here you're seeing how the union was just an establishment to essentially just fuck the workers over. So like Richard Pryor's character is talking about how he just wants a locker fixed, and he's talking about how he keeps sticking his finger in there and his finger's been cut. But in like the original Richard Pryor, you get a bit of a laugh out of it. And then more and more, like you can see the seriousness of how he's really frustrated by how the union's screwing him over. Then, like you've got him, you got Harvey Keitel, you got Yaphet Kotto, and you're just going through the 3 different lives that they've got. Yaphet Kotto's character has been in prison for various different things before. Harvey Keitel is a Polish American, and he's got a few bills catching up with him. And Richard Pryor he's been swindling a bit. Like he gets a knock at the door, and he's got 3 kids, but he's been telling the tax company that he's got 6 kids, and he sends his wife out to go and get the other kids, and they're like knocking at a neighbor's door and all this shit. And it's just because they're getting screwed out of their money and they're just trying to survive, and their bills are a mountain for all of them. And they come up with this idea: let's rob the union office. Like do you know?
As you do.
Yeah, like there's some money in there. And they go to rob the place, and you know they're hoping, like I think they're hoping like $6,000, hoping to take like $2,000 each out of it. Not so much comes out of it. I can't remember the exact figure. And there's some paperwork in there as well. And as they're going through it, they start to realize that the union's actually been doing some illegal funding and that, and been screwing people out of their money and whatnot. And now, instead of having the money, they've realized that this can actually lead to exposing this can be worth something. And that's where the story really starts to unfold, right? It's now trying to uncover it. It's people finding out stuff. It's a minor spoiler, but I won't say it. It leads to one of those 3 characters dying over it. It leads to a fallout over the others over what is the right call. Bro, it blew me away. Like it's a serious bit of a movie to watch. It was, yeah, I was shocked. And again, it's that thing that even though it was warned, like this is not Richard Pryor in comedy. Because it started off, I'm like, but I'm still gonna get laughs out of him. No. This film gets serious, man. It goes in. It's worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch. As I said, it may be on iPlayer. Not the way I saw it, but it may be available.
Can't comment much as I haven't seen it. So as I said, that was me drinking. Few other people are joining me for a round. Francis Lalonde says never saw it. Drinking. Declan says also drinking. Mixed Memorabilia says brilliant shout AJ for
Thank
Blue
you, Mixed
Collar.
Memorabilia.
Andy Hart says, yeah, saw this back in the 90s on Movie Drome. Dennis Cook says, never seen this. Thanks, AJ. Pedro Santos says, Blue Collar is good, but not one of the 70s masterpieces. Chris Trengrove says, AJ, thanks, man. Blue Collar wasn't even on my radar. Then Cook then says 8 Mile. I'm assuming that's in reference to the steel workers thing.
Yeah, okay. Fair play. I think I'm wrong in saying it still works, but car manufacturers, yeah, fair play. Was it in Detroit as well? I'm not sure. I can't remember what state they're in. We'll make it over in a touch more, but yeah, worth a watch, man. Worth a watch.
Eunice YG has just said this movie is my all-time favorite, so I hope it is high on your list. And this movie, Eunice, is my number 3, and that is Apocalypse Now.
I left it out because I knew it was you. I left it out because I knew you were going to have it in.
This fucking film. Oh my word, this film. The movie, my wife is adamant she doesn't like war films, which is very weird considering, well, first off, I don't consider this to be an out-and-out war film. I think calling Apocalypse Now a war film is paying it the biggest disservice in the world because it's so much more than that.
It's a war background, but that is it. It's like such a psychological masterpiece.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Apocalypse Now is not a war movie.
If you didn't use that, because it's like, well, no, I'm pieces of them, but yeah.
No, it's set during the war, and it's set during the war there is a reason that it's set during the war, but to call it an out-and-out war film,
no.
Nah, it's got some cool war scenes in it. Ride of the Valkyrie being the notable one.
Yes. Sorry,
but yeah, I mean. The trouble that they went through. No, sorry, I was telling a story about Anya. Yeah. So I showed her Hacksaw Ridge a while back because I insisted that we go see it because guess what? You know already, Mark Andrew Garfield, right? She enjoyed it. She was like, yeah, it's a war film, but it was pretty good as war films go, and I liked it because of the character story in it. When we were doing our countdown of Empire's top 100 movies, not voted for by us, but voted for by the Empire readers, Apocalypse Now was also, obviously, very high. And she was like, can we skip this one? Can we skip this one? Fucking shitfest helicopter war film. I was like, you think it's a helicopter war film? Oh, you're in for such a surprise. Now, Anya does not remember films. Like, and we've had arguments over it where she's like, I haven't seen that. You must have watched it with someone else. I'm like, who? She's like, I don't know her name. It's like, there's no her.
I hate that. Can I just say that? I hate that one.
You get it?
It must have been your other girlfriend. I'm like, no, we were literally here. I was in this venue when I watched it. There couldn't have been anyone else because it's your freaking house.
That's your story. Mine is, there's a ring here. Like, I don't fool around. We married, girl. What are you saying? Well, I haven't seen it. And then you play the movie for 5 minutes. Like, oh, yeah, I have seen it. It's like, ooh. This one, whenever I say Apocalypse Now, she's like, that's a fucking film. Now, that for me is, I'm telling this personal story because it's an amazing benchmark to show that someone who, number one, doesn't like war movies, and two, never remembers a film. You say Apocalypse Now in front of Anya, she's like, that. It's insane. It is such a... Have you read the book, Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad? No. So good. I mean, it's one of those nightmare books to adapt. Completely different setting. Like, was it a bit of a radical choice to take it from the Belgium Congo and to the Vietnam War? Yes. Did it fucking work? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it worked. I mean, I can't compare it to the book, but yeah, it worked.
It worked so well.
Seen, yeah.
The story of how one ventures deep into a jungle and one gradually loses track of reality and sanity simultaneously. And while one reads about their prospective target of assassination, one starts to empathize and understand the machinations of their mind. That's Apocalypse Now. It's sick. It's one of the, now, people like Francis Ford Coppola's best movie is The Godfather. Nope. This is his best movie. Apocalypse Now, I don't care how unpopular it is. Apocalypse Now is a better movie than The Godfather.
Well, I said based on general embracing, like I could embrace. You hear about Apocalypse Now being great, you watch it, you're blown away. I didn't have that same reaction when it came to The Godfather. You know, I'm still yet to be convinced with The Godfather. I acknowledge it, but yeah.
Apocalypse Now, you just sit down and you appreciate it. You appreciate it for its moments. You appreciate it for its pacing, for its acting. The fucking acting in this film. I mean, I appreciate that. There's a little bit of it that's not acting because it's them literally off their tits on opioids. Read up on it. That the troubled production.
There's a documentary. I can't remember what the documentary is called.
Yeah,
there's a documentary about the nightmare that was this film. Yeah, I always say it though when it comes to casting. Lawrence Fishburne, man, my God.
Yeah, time wasn't kind to him.
I wouldn't say it wasn't kind to him.
I'm sorry. When people say black don't crack, my answer is look at Lawrence Fishburne.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, he still does.
I would. Look at Edge and Christian. Time was kind to one of them, and it wasn't Edge.
Oh yeah.
You get me?
Really, really got battered by the
one of them looked like a scarecrow.
Yeah.
And it's not Christian.
yeah. That's for damn sure.
And for such a small role to have the resonating power that it does, I mean, fucking Marlon Brando, man. That spiel he gives him in the temple about fear. It's bro, I've got goosebumps. You can't see because I'm wearing a long jumper, but I've got goosebumps just thinking about this film. It's so close to film perfection. I can't tell you.
It's a master. It's a beauty.
And yet, I don't think it should make the Rushmore.
All right. Well, we will. Yeah.
My Rushmore for me is in my head. It's locked. Like it's beyond dispute. But carry on. You're number 3.
Cool. My number 3. Where are we? I know this is a punt because this is you all over. Jaws.
Stop disrespecting me. Punt.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, over to you.
God, this fucking guy. Pedro Sancto says it absolutely should be in the Rushmore. Nope. And I will explain why later. Right. AJ,
it'd be interesting to see where it fits in there. But anyway, we'll touch that when it comes.
The argument is there for what the Rushmore is, and you're going to hear it and go, yep.
Bro, I can kind of see it because there are some very strong contenders. One of them has just been punted. Like, yeah, there are some that are. It's the Clash of the Titans, essentially. But yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, I mean,
you got it.
You can't muck about with that.
Right, my number 2, the pump from earlier. Not my favorite, but my 3rd favorite, Star Wars. The film that changed Hollywood. Fact. I don't want to hear bullshit about how the studios didn't believe in it. I don't want to hear about how the actors didn't believe in it. This is uncharted territory. It is a fantasy movie in space. They made it as a fantasy movie, not as a sci-fi. Do you know how fucking difficult it is to make a space fantasy? Like, as I said, we rewatch every single year, Anya and I. We rewatch Star Wars as kind of like our Christmas ritual. Bro, I'll be the first to say, as an absolute defender of most of these movies, that original, it's bordering on the B movie in some parts. I said it. I don't give a fuck. I don't care how grandiose it is. I'm not talking about how groundbreaking it was. Did it have some stellar acting in it from the likes of Peter Cushing and Sir Alec Guinness and Harrison Ford? Of course. Did it equally have some terrible acting from Mark Hamill? Yes. And from Carrie Fisher. Long may she rest in peace. I bawled my eyes out for her when they gave her in memorandum, right? Those two were not great in this, right? Is it cheesy as all hell? Yes. And yet somehow, it's a resounding fucking success. It is so beautifully paced. It is its biggest flaw is at the same time its biggest strength. And that is it is a recycled, seen it all before, unassuming hero becomes a man story with every single archetype from fantasy, not sci-fi, the dark father, the old wizard, the young farm boy, the princess, the handsome rapscallion, the handsome scoundrel. Every single archetype from fantasy is in this film. It has no business in being as good as it is. Flaws and all. And yet somehow it changed cinema.
Maybe had I watched it in the order they were released as opposed to the order it should be watched, it like chronological order.
You should never watch Star Wars in chronological order ever.
It was done. That's just the way I done it. And I think with that, it just kind of, the flaws are evident, put it that way. And I've said it before, and I mean it. Like, you can see it whichever way you want. The characters and the emphasis on all of these characters that I'd heard for the absolute longest time. Obi-Wan being at the top of that mountain, higher ground, if you wish. It just, I anticlimactic. I was like, what is he's gone? What? Huh? No, for all this shit I've heard about the whole Obi-Wan, it was those areas, and that's why for me, I respect.
You always have a beef with Mr. Obi-Wan, don't you? But carry on.
Not the character, just the hype around the character. Like, if you give me Obi-Wan, prequel Obi-Wan, I'm an Obi-Wan mark. An Obi-Wan episode 4, I'm like, huh?
You watched them in the wrong order. And Andy Hart confirms this. The only way to watch Star Wars is the order they were made. It's correct. It's correct.
Bro, listen.
Frank has a great one here. Star Wars is the crash of the Rushmore. So true. Oh, it's true.
So, who knows? I may rewatch them again in the order of release as opposed to chronological. But
it doesn't make sense to watch them chronologically. A prequel is exactly that. It comes after, but is set before.
Bro, I get it. But
AJ, you're so different from Cook 45.
That's why I'm here. If we were all the same, it would be quite different. Vanilla. It would be a different show. So,
Christian and Grover's here. Don't watch them chronologically. Do not.
Guys, look, I get it. But either way, I don't think, again, it's the same as the Godfather hype, and I don't think this would have changed for me. For all the hype I heard around Obi-Wan, I was like, huh? What? Really? I could be wrong. And Nate would be the only person who could go against me, but he kind of agreed with me when he saw it. It was the whole, I think, having watched it when you guys watched it at a much younger age,
of course,
the fantasy's there. Being a 34-year-old man, it just didn't. The magic wasn't there. Don't get me wrong. Star Wars has caught me because when I watched episode 7, now I was taken in. Now I was like, hey, this is what I was looking for in a film. It's just the way and time. It just, it didn't work. I know there's more hate for me.
It's not hate. There's just some very creative comments. Gavin Mann says, AJ, watch in the order of release. You can't take the high ground by doing it in any other way. By the way, can I just say...
I'm not taking the high ground, may I say. I'm just explaining why it was so low in my list. Nothing more. I appreciate what Star Wars means to the world.
Riri, what is your second favorite Star Wars film, Nico? So my favorite, hands down, is Empire. Hands down. Second favorite, ask me on a different day. People are going to hate me for this. I don't give a fuck because I don't care how bad the sequel trilogy ended. I think The Force Awakens is a stellar movie. I won't hear otherwise.
You're not going to hear me say differently.
You will I'll hear better people say differently. Yeah, she's a Mary Sue. Yeah, this, there, that. Yeah, they had no plan. Yeah, it all went wrong. We didn't know that at the time of watching. Hindsight is a beautiful thing, is it not? When I came out of The Force Awakens, I felt all warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. I felt happy.
That was
I put Empire, level pegging. OG Episode 4 and The Force Awakens, equal.
Fair play.
And dead last, number 3. Fuck that film.
Again, agreed.
You guys don't think that 7 is a weird remake of episode 4? I can see parallels. I can see connections. The
But
thing which
again,
this
that
isn't
was
something
why
about
I
episode
voted that.
7 copying episode 4. I think this is something the entire fucking sequel trilogy got wrong. It's like, will you let the Death Star go? Please, just forget. Move on. Move on. There is other things. There are more toys in the galaxy than the Death Star. What annoyed me was Starkiller Base in episode 7. It's like, so it's a big Death Star. And then by episode 9, it's like, well, now all the Star Destroyers have little Death Star cannons on them. It's like, please stop. I love you, but don't make me not like you. Please stop with the Death Star references. I beg you, stop with the Death Star references. There you go. Here comes the hate Beta Fett. Fart Awakens. The sequel trilogy is the garbage of the garbage monsters. No, it's not. The prequel trilogy is. And Nate's here. 7's opening scene where Keitel throws the blaster bolt was incredible. It was such a cool force ability that made him feel unique. AJ knows.
Yes, Nate. Thank you, bro. That is exactly what I'm talking about. That was the shit when I was like, hello. Like, I was taken in. That was what I'm talking about. And as I said, he's the only one who I know didn't see the original as a kid. He saw it at a later age. And we both have the same Obi-Wan beef. Like, it remains what it is.
Chris Trengrove says prequels better than sequels. So, Chris, as you've heard me say 1,000,001 times on this show, there are no right answers here, just opinions. But in my humble opinion, you are wrong. The sequels, everything about them is better. Everything.
I really enjoyed.
Anyway,
I really enjoyed the sequels.
Oh, and by the way, rewatch the prequels and play the drinking game of how many times before episode 3 there are Jedi showing what the high ground is. Literally, it became a Disaronno Velvet. There's a throwback to the beginning of the episode. It became a Disaronno Velvet drinking game between Anya and I. Every time a Jedi did one of those crazy loopy-doopy force jumps that completely disproved the higher ground bullshit, it was drink time.
Christmas at the Luros. Okay.
Great fun. Great fun. Anyway, that was my number 2. AJ, your number 2?
So, mate, this is where I can say I got you, because you didn't know it was from the 70s, but it's a classic. It's a silver screen dude's favorite. Monty Python. And
my G, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I always remember the first time watching this film and thinking, what the fuck? But laughing so much at the same time. You just starting with horses galloping away, and then you look back and it's just a guy. And you're like, what the hell? Everything.
Your father was a hamster and your mother smelled like elderberries. Oh.
Do you know, there's one thing you could always debate. Yeah. The knight who gets hacked up. When we could keep going. British comedy, when done right.
Stop now.
British comedy, when done right, is absolute gold. And at the top of that helm of British comedy, when done right, is absolute gold, is John Cleese.
I mean, all of them.
All of them, but I have a soft spot. I think because of 40 Towers, John Cleese just goes that bit further when I just think of British comedy. And when it comes to Monty Python, I believe the Holy Grail is essentially the Holy Grail.
It is the Holy Grail of not just Monty Python. I'd go so far as to say it is the Holy Grail of comedy. Yes, I think it is the best comedy ever made.
I have just had an absolute great time, and it, despite the age, you can still find, some stuff age wrong. This age is right. Like, you can still watch it and just laugh at it. You just enjoy what you're watching, and this is what I think is absolutely fantastic about this film. It encapsulates comedy. Who have we got here? What was it?
Don't mention the war. 40 Towers reference.
I know. Do you know what? Well, I've watched that episode. The N-word is actually quite prevalent in that episode.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Whoa,
the general, right? Churchill wasn't a that.
I was like, oh, Okay, thank you, Netflix. You didn't block that one. Yeah, that.
And Faulty Towers to be cancelled in 3, 2, 1. Wait for it.
Yeah, but I actually wouldn't want to see 40 Towers cancelled. I think
There's a lot of love, by the way, for Life of Brian over this in the comments. Pedro, I think Andy's saying it, but yeah. AJ,
No.
I cannot believe that I forgot this from my list because you know it's my favorite comedy of all time.
Yeah.
For some reason, it said it was 1980 in my head. I don't know why.
Bro, do you know some of the things when you just have to fact check? This is where Google is a blessing. In a world where you don't have Google and you're 70s, hello. It's as simple as that. Your mind can play tricks on you. As I said, I always remember I was shocked as hell when I realized Alien was, as well as my number one. That was another one. I was like, that wasn't 80, that was 70s. Oh shit, hello. It's there. So I get it. Even for me, I was a bit shocked at that. But then I realized the collection of films, I was like, oh, yeah, it makes sense that this was 70s. But I am sorry. No, Life of Brian is great.
Sorry.
But yeah, Holy Grail takes it for me.
Holy Grail is sensational. It is the magnum opus of comedy. I can't. Yeah, I'm so fucking angry. I forgot this on my list. Thank you for having my back.
No problem. Now this is where you're going to screw me because you're going to go and bring up your worst. And
well, sorry, got the wife here. So can you go ahead with your worst just while I have to...
Okay, so while Nico's going to go for his worst, which is a musical that I actually have a lot of great fun for and I think dominated the cinema in Greece. Yeah, I'll let him bring that up later. I'm going to bring up another musical that I remember watching when we were doing top 10 musicals, and I kind of enjoyed it at the beginning. The more the film went on, I was getting wound up, and by the end, I despised it. I was just like, will you just finish already? This could be very unpopular, but I know because it has a huge cult following. The Rocky Horror
shit.
Bro, as I said, I was kind of having fun with it at the beginning.
Could you do me a favor? Please vamp for a minute because I need to go and hold the baby while my wife pees, and then I'll be right back.
That was ultimately TMI, but you could have just held the baby. We would have said daddy duties and left it. But hey, it is what it is.
I will be right back, Silver Screen Dudes. 2 minutes, please.
Cool. So while Nico is tis but a scratch Declan, yes, sorry, while we're just on the on the Monty Python. Pedro, Clockwork Orange, I don't know where that falls for Nick. But for me, it's a difficult one to go through. I've always said it. I need to see more of that film. I need to rewatch it. I snuck to watch it as a kid, and I've never gone back to it, so I can't go. Pedro, you also asked, have we done a top 10 comedy episode? I can't remember what season, but we did, and I believe Holy Grail was Nick's number one. Chris, have I ever seen a Rocky Horror at midnight showing? No, I haven't. Pedro, yes, intermission time for Nico, indeed. I've not seen one, and I think I would appreciate the love that everybody has for that. I can see it's mad. I've heard about it. I'm also a bit scared to go because I've heard about the virgins who get absolutely screwed out in there. But the film was fun at first, and then it just started to get a bit too crazy for me, and I completely lost interest for it. And when it came to the whole aliens coming back and shooting, I can't even remember his name, but yeah, I just lost it. I just Tuki Buki film. Sorry, McSpanner, really, I'm going to need a bit more on that one. And Andy said, "Thank you, Gavin. Can't remember the name." And Pedro Santos says, not a Rocky Horror fan, but you guys were mentioning how Spider-Man benefited from that crowd experience. Oh yeah, Pedro, 100%. You're going to get my backup on this. Like, I know it is all about the fanfare when it comes to Rocky Horror. Everyone's dressed up. Frankfurter, sorry, is the comic the character when they were trying to shoot him down when he was climbing up into a spaceship. It just lost me. Dennis, go see Rocky Horror with the crazy fan. It's an experience I think I need to appreciate, but having just watched it at home, as I said, at first it was good, and then I was just getting screwed by it. Clockwork Orange, one of Kubrick's top 5 masterpieces. Chris,
yeah,
I can't
killed me to leave it off.
But I said it. I said it before. What, last week, a couple of weeks ago, whenever it came up, I need to see this film again. That's just
Clockwork Orange is amazing.
Gavin, man, at any heart, it's not too far from me. A castle stalker is this castle. Next member, Tukibuki is a Senegal film. Interesting. I did want something from anything other than the UK and the US. So I'm going to add that mixed memorabilia. Thank you very much. For Bruno in the 70s, the discreet charm of the bourgeois and the obscure object of desire. One of those films would be in my list. Can't say I've seen it. Oh yeah, I'll be drinking on that one. Dennis, it's like The Room. Like that's another thing. Prince Charles Theatre has The Room. I think I need to go and do that once. The Prince Charles Cinema. It needs to be done. Yeah. This is, here we go. Try the Wine from Francis Lalonde. I'd go with Barry Lyndon for Kubrick.
Clockwork.
And Pedro Santos. I struggle with the discreet charm. Need to rewatch. Yeah. So that was there. That's my. It started to get.
I'm shocked.
Rocky Horror Picture. It just started to get too stupid for me. At first, I thought it's out there. It embraces B movie. It embraces B movie. It's aware of what it's doing. It's an homage. It's a love letter to B movie. But it drove me crazy by the end of it.
So my worst. You're going to be very surprised here. My worst is...
Well, you've punted.
Moonraker. Oh, he's
okay.
shocked. Look at him. He's shocked.
No, I'm not. I know.
So here's what happened. Here's what happened. I know. Let me explain. Because our fans... And our fans is pretentious. The people watching us are also. By the way, sorry. Before we carry on, August Fernandez Britos was in the chat earlier, and he asked a really nice question, which I'd like to find. Sorry, before we go on a massive. Yeah, this one. Wait a minute. Why can't we donate through YouTube while you are streaming? Here's the thing, August. The current platform we are on, which is StreamYard, does not allow tip links. I'm looking at maybe switching us up to something like Stream Elements, or maybe setting us up on something like Patreon. I'm not expecting to be a millionaire overnight. I'm not even going to be like saying and advertising and doing big marketing, but like, yeah, sure, it would be nice if people want to contribute, that we can have that option for people to do.
Den has done this for us before, and I greatly.
Den has done this. Cook 45 has done this before.
I appreciate anyone who would like to contribute. Patreon has come up. Do you know there's one thing that's come up to me about Patreon, and I'm not like, it's not so much the numbers. There's something about Patreon where it feels limited in terms of pay for this service. I enjoy the fact that we can discuss with you guys without having to feel you have to pay us for this.
But
I know
there's no have to. You can set up Patreon, to my understanding, in a way that people can pay if they want. I will never, ever, ever put the movie Mount Rushmore behind a paywall. Ever.
That's the thing that always bugged me about that.
This show will be free for anyone who wants to watch it, because it is a movie show for movie fans with movie fans, and it's not being paywalled.
Never.
If people want to actually see that the efforts we're making to entertain people are worth maybe a cup of coffee, there will be a link. It will never, ever be hid behind a paywall. Ever. I'm adamant about that.
That's a cosign, if I'm honest. That was the thing. I was like, I don't want to do that. I would never want to do that. I enjoy the interaction more than anything. I enjoy it. It's quite self-indulgent to be like, oh, you have to pay for the benefit of our voices.
Oh, it's so wanky. It's like we're two best friends talking about something that we love, that is a common IP for the entire world. That is movie fandom. We don't own this shit. We don't have a right to charge for this. We have a right to maybe say, hey, look, if you want to buy us a coffee, you can. I'll get all that set up, but no. Rushmore's never being paywalled. Ever. I'd like having people on our show with us. Like, this is familia. And Pedro Santos, I've seen these chats on YouTube where you can make a paid comment in the chat. It gets highlighted. Yeah, John Campier does that. He uses something called Stream Elements, which I am looking at now. But the thing is that I don't want to, even the chatting, I don't want to hide that behind a paywall. Like, I like chatting with you guys, and so does AJ. I want to be able to just whoop if I want to. Hey, here you go. Hey, Pedro, what up? You know, I want to be able to just pull your chats up and I want to be able to share because the movie knowledge that you guys have is nuts. Like, it's nuts. I don't want that to be hidden behind a paywall either. I don't want to have, you know, like, was it Pedro earlier who said, you know, alien and German expressionism? It's like, you shouldn't have to pay to make comments like that. It's bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
There's a way out there. There's a way around it, guys, and we will find it. But at the moment, the element of interaction, you can't put a price on certain things, put it that way. That's the long and short of it. And your contribution from, I'm going to take it back a bit just to make it what it is. From two guys who started off in a flat share, not personally, but he was flat sharing at the time. And we were just overtaking some people's living room at the time to record this show.
Right.
And not knowing who the frick would listen, to a fact that we can go online. And we even said this, right? Going online just makes it because we wanted to kick off our YouTube show again, right? The fact that we've got to a point that we can interact with you guys, and granted, it may expand the length of the show, it's worth it. It's this interaction, it's this community. To quote Vin Diesel, this family, right? This family. You can't take that away by being like, guys, we love you. Like just last week, I'm saying like from where we started, and it's been a great journey. You guys are the best. Wishing you all a happy new year. Start
pay me.
So guys, if you don't mind putting along $2.99, like fuck off. No. And I'm not hating on anyone.
Doing a Henry Hill from the Goodfellas. Fuck you, pay me. Like, no, we're not.
I'm not hating on anyone who has put up a paywall, because you know what? In an ideal world, yes, this would be our career. Yeah. And I get it for people who are trying to build that. But I'm not going to sacrifice the element of what made me and Nico. When I say me in that sense, it wasn't this individual thing, but what made us essentially, and just be like, yeah, I'm going to turn my back on it. Like, no, it can't happen. It can't happen.
It will never happen. There will be a link, as I said, if people want to buy us a coffee. It's never going deeper than that, ever. I mean, shit me, Will, who's joining the chat for the first time today. My man literally called me from the States and was like, I've been watching your show in quarantine. It means a lot to me. That's amazing.
Once upon a time, I don't know who it was, but there was a person who wrote in, and this is before we went to YouTube, who said that they listened to us in their car, in their shower. If there's not that, it's going to bed.
Yeah.
Was it Morgan? I don't know if it was.
No, it wasn't Morgan. It wasn't Morgan. I remember that. I can't remember what she was called, sadly. She doesn't watch anymore, but yeah, we've had really cool comments come through.
Like, you get these interactions. You get people who have thanked us. People who just write in and just share, like, I love what your view on this. Yeah. The fact that I can pull up something like Pink, a film from India that no one has heard about. And the fact that I can then just see a comment come up from Mixed Memorabilia guy, like, thank you. You've seen it too. Like, you know, you're on it. It's just interaction and communication.
This is what I mean. Look, Big Will Johnson, who is here with us for the first time in the chat. I literally spoke to the man today and said, dude, if you like the content we've put on the channel, join us for a live stream. I haven't seen you there.
Stopped me. YG stopped me coming out of work, going to meet my girlfriend, hears me on the phone and was like, you sound like AJ. Yeah, thank you. Like, it's still unreal to this day how that can happen.
Chris Jacob says, wait, we can call you guys? Just you wait. So
you too, screw. I don't even want to be part of that convo. But yeah.
Last week's Drive My Car recommendation, love it. I'm so happy you like that, Francis. It's a masterpiece, that film. But now, getting back onto the show, and wrapping up, I guess, in the next sort of half hour or so. Here's the funny thing that happened, because I punted you earlier. When I set up the show, my worst, as I said, sorry for those who love it, was Moonraker. Now, I would like the record to show that I am a guilty fan of Moonraker. But when you also think of the 70s as having The Spy Who Loved Me, this movie's a bit of a dud, as James Bonds go. And it's so cheesy. It's cheesy, but not in the good way. It goes too far. I had this whole spiel prepared about how, yeah, Moonraker's fun. I get the appeal to it. I get the iconicity of it, but not one of my favorite ones, right? Then Riri Thomas. I should have starred the message and brought it up right now. Riri Thomas said, I'm guessing, it was something along the lines of, I'm guessing Nico's worst movie from the 70s is Grease. Just before you brought it up, I saw that comment and went, what? while you were talking, I looked online, Greece, 1978. I went, well, I downloaded the image, I sized it, I've prepared it, and no sooner had I hit upload than you brought it up, and I was ready to say punt, because categorically, we talk about the cheese of Moonraker. Oh, so much fucking worse is this abomination of mankind called Grease that has the world fooled into thinking it's a good fucking movie. It is a piece of shit.
The Nico rants, but this is what makes us best friends.
Nico, what's worse, Moonraker or No Time to Die? No Time to Die. Easy.
It's funny, you know, John hasn't watched an episode, but he said the exact same thing you did when we brought up No Time to Die and he found out I finally watched it. He goes, do you know these films? They're not Bond. They're Jason Bourne. And I was like, that's exactly what Nico says. Tune in. Tune in. Bro.
They've turned Bond into Jason Bourne. But by the way, Chris agrees with me. Yeah, Grease sucks.
I saw this. You guys can say this as much as you want, yeah? I saw all the hate that came in when we done Top 10 musicals, but guess what? It still won. That is the power of Grease.
That's a fucking travesty. And I'll maintain it won because I chose to not put La La Land on.
It would have kicked La La Land's ass. I guarantee you. I actually believe it. I actually believe it.
Do we actually need to ask JT to do a bonus poll for us? Just La La Land versus Grease?
I would actually welcome it.
I'd be quite scared of it. I'm not going to lie.
Are you sure? Because even you for yourself have said there's a common trend of wanting to hate La La Land. So go on. Really put that money where your mouth is if you really want to. Because it could hurt you infinitely. I
don't think I could handle the pain of Grease beating La La Land ever.
Grease. I appreciate Grease. La La Land being in your upper echelon of all-time great movies. Are you sure you want to do this?
No.
Because you brought up the fact that we could go for a bonus.
Frank Torres says it would have beat La La Land.
Thank you, Frank.
That's good enough for me.
So maintain what you want. Grease is the greatest musical.
Andy Hart says just rewatch No Time to Die. It's a good movie. Correct. Great movie. Terrible James Bond movie.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That I will do. Thank you, Andy. Because as I said, having watched it and mass done the whole James Bond as you would, just to make you guys separate it from the other arc of Bond. No, I actually enjoyed it.
Your fucking brother is here. Nathan, what up, my G? I've logged in just to agree. Grease is dead.
Go fuck yourself. How do you
right there? My guy.
What the frick? What a prick. I don't even want to block him. I want to kick him out of the house. What the fuck? No. Don't do that.
Is he literally there next to you?
I'm very tempted to just turn the camera around, but it'd be very unprofessional. But yes, he's in the room. He could scream what up and you'd hear him.
Nay, my guy. Grease sucks. The songs are terrible. Grease.
This guy is a sing-along man. Fuck you, bro. But hold on. Your appreciation for musicals exactly. You don't appreciate musicals, so that will.
This isn't a musical. It's not a musical. It's a tremendous piece of shit.
That one greatest musical. So what does that say? What? Go on. This the screeners, dude. They voted.
Is Keanu Reeves a better action star than Schwarzenegger?
Currently, yes.
Oh, you had to. So currently, AJ, shut the fuck up. Nate's here too. The other Nathan has said what I was secretly thinking. I can't lie. Grease sucks. Grease is a dead film. Grease, not only should it not be on any top 10 list other than worst movie, it has no business being on your 70s movies. Not when there are films that you have omitted.
Aware of what Grease was? Hold on.
Am I aware of what Grease was? I've already said yes. A tremendous pile of shit.
Okay, because the box, whichever way, and then we're going to bring up the whole Transformers thing again.
Yes.
Fuck it. I don't get. But then that again then just nullifies everything that you want to talk about when it comes to the freaking. Anyway, what I'm getting at is right. This film was absolutely huge. People went in their droves to watch it multiple times. It has multiple re-releases of anniversary editions of this film. Grease 2, on the other hand, I can agree fully sucks all day long. This film was big.
Den says Grease 2 is better.
No, he didn't. He said Grease 2. He was just questioning Grease 2. He did not say it was a better film.
Let me find the comment. Or Dan, you can just put it up yourself if you want, mate. Oh, this is a great one from Frank Torres. You should do a top 10 of undeserving Rushmore winners. Grease wins. There you go. It's
No, it doesn't. Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is...
You see, I'm having to think about it.
No, fuck off. Categorically, that film is a heap of shit.
Your brother says Grease had no purpose. Just turn to the right, AJ. Break
ask him his thoughts on
La La Land.
Would you like to comment on La La Land? Are you even remotely interested in it? Yeah. Right, there we go. Sing-alongs in general. Anything to do with musicals, he doesn't want to know. So
cool. And that's probably because he saw Grease and it's put him off for life.
He's seen other musicals, he just has no time for them. I'm sure he would
because of Grease. Because
I'm sure he was in Mary Poppins before Grease. Right. Anyway.
AJ, kiss it.
Oh, then what kind of... You have to be the only... You want to say I'm different. You have to be the only person on this entire freaking planet who would say Grease 2 is better. No. Bro, there is different and there is fucked up. I don't... And that's with love, bro. Fuck up. No. Fuck off. No. Grease 2. Nah. You're trying to banter me, bro. I refuse. I refuse to go any further than I did. I refuse to go any further than I did. That is actual banter. Love
it.
Disrespect. Universally, there is no one who would say Grease 2 is better than Grease. Irrelevant of how much you hate Grease, you will hate Grease 2 more.
Oh shit, Gavin Man says Shaun of the Dead's better than Grease. I love you guys. Bring the rain.
These were the people who begged for Shaun of the Dead to be number one, to be included in the Rushmore.
Pedro Sanchez asks, if this is Fanuary, which fan suggested the topic? Pedro, to answer your question, that would be Mr. Andy Hart, who is in the chat right now.
Thank you very much, Andy. Right, okay. So, Moonraker, Grease, and Rocky Horror.
Moonraker, which became Grease, and Riri Thomas, I thank you so much for reminding me that this tremendous piece of shit was a 70s movie. So I
knew this hate was going to come for this. I knew this hate was going to come for it, but
it's justified.
Okay. It was the musical of the 70s. I'm just saying.
Was it?
Well, I'd go for that over fucking Rocky Horror Picture. But anyway.
Oh, I love it, man.
You're number one.
My second favorite film of all time. This is a fucking no-brainer, isn't it? It's Jaws. It's all day long. It's Jaws. Now, I was saying before that Apocalypse Now was pretty close to perfection. In a Alfred Hitchcock, I'm going proper geeky here, and I'm sure people, notably Andy Hart, will correct me on the exact wording of this quote. But Hitchcock is famous for saying that a film doesn't flow. A film cannot be deemed effective or indeed perfect if every single frame, scene, and line isn't conducive towards advancing the plot. To that end, according to his definition, which to suit my own argument, I will choose to prescribe to in this case, this film is perfection. This film is fucking perfection. And I am not talking about the bullshit about, but the shark doesn't look real. Fear of the unknown. This film, and I'm a very, very adept underwater cameraman saying this, right? I've been filming sharks my entire life. AJ will attest to this. I love sharks. My favorite animal.
Crazy, but it's true.
But you see, here's the thing. The fact that you say I'm fucking crazy reinforces the point I'm about to make. No shark has ever eaten anyone. It's never happened.
Can it bite you?
You come into my house wearing a Speedo, big man, I'ma bite you too. It's their home.
But I get it. And this is why I say you're a fucking madman. It's not for the relevance of eating me. I don't give a shit if you're eating me. I respect.
I've done my homework. I know how to behave with them. I know when they will and won't go for me. It's like you wouldn't go like, let's say in a weird world there was a Sainsbury's on the African savannah or in the fucking Serengeti. You ain't going just for a walk, a promenade through the fucking bush with the lions and the cheetahs and shit, are you? You're going to plan stuff. You're going to fucking research that. How can I get from A to B without being mauled? Difference being a lion will eat you, right? You enter any no one in their right fucking mind walks into the African bush without actually being either protected or being like having a plan. But yet, some weird disconnect we have as humans is like, oh no, but it's the sea. I'm on holiday. I'm in my bikini or in my swimsuit. I need to cool off. People just enter the sea willy-nilly.
Listen, that is not the thought that crosses my mind. I respect the sea by a great measure, a great deal. Like, I do not fuck with that. And you know this because you kept saying, come along, have a dive. I'll be
10 years I tried to get your black ass in the water.
Well, I mean, I was going to bring the color issue into it. Some may deem that part of a be careful, let's not get this episode cancelled to it. But yes, exactly. Like, we don't do this. Like, Eric the Eel was the only one who dared try to, he tried to recreate Cool Runnings. We don't do cold, we don't do water. But hey, he tried his. Yeah. But anyway, continue. We digressed.
Yeah, Jaws, and this is coming from someone who adores sharks. I have such a conflicted opinion, relationship with Jaws, because as I said, it's my second favorite film of all time because of how fucking good it is. I'm going to any shatteringly new here about how good the acting is, how good the chemistry between Roy Scheider, fucking Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss was. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything about how good the pacing was, about how the E flat G minor chord from John Williams scared a fucking generation of people to put foot in a puddle. How the set pieces were amazing. How it's got one of the greatest monologues ever, maybe the greatest monologue ever in the Indianapolis speech. Like, this movie is perfection, and yet I have a disdain for it because of the damage it did to the reputation of sharks. That's a personal thing. You tell most people now, a shark's dangerous. Yeah, a shark will eat me, right? No. It won't happen ever under any it'll bite you, but it won't eat you. But
that's
a dog,
a bullet will go through you. Won't kill you, but
now a dog can bite you. Do you get what I mean? If you start saying to people a dog could eat you, that's why we don't keep wolves in our homes. You get me? That's why we haven't domesticated the wolf. That's why you look at a pug and it's a harmless little piggy dog. Like, if you think that a pug used to be a wolf, one of these things bites. A pug will bite. A wolf will eat. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking psychological perception that we have as people. If it eats me, it's a no-no. A lion eats me. That's a no-no. A crocodile eats me. No. A shark isn't in that fucking bracket. And yet people think it is.
I leave it more to the whale. But hey, I get it. Its appearance allows it to be more scarier than its counterparts. Don't get me wrong. A whale is freaking huge. So by that, it should scare the shit out of you. But the teeth, the appearance of a shark makes you think, oh, fuck. I get it.
Christian Grove says Jaws is a masterpiece. Pedro Santos says, what's Nico's favorite film of all time? I don't know if you're being ironic or not there, because I've said it a few times. If you are, haha, you got me. If not, if it's a serious question, don't hate me, but it's The Green Mile. Hands down my favorite.
That, bro. What the fuck?
Do you know what? More and more I've said to people that The Green Mile is my favorite film. More and more I'm starting to, really? That? It's like, yeah.
My beef, as I've always said, is the whole supernatural bit with the whole spirit. But apart from that, there's nothing to hate about that film.
No, it's amazing. Francis DeLon says, you're going to need a bigger chat. Yes. Dennis Cook says, yes, Jaws, the first blockbuster. Riri says, amazing choice for number one. Rushmore could be the closest ever this time. Yep. Jaws is a 2-hour masterpiece of pure adventure cinema, pure Spielberg. Spielberg at his best. Gavin Mann, it was you earlier. It was you that said you had something better than Spielberg, better than Jaws.
Please don't say it was Close Encounter. Please don't.
I think it was Jewel. Andy Hart says, what shark? You hardly see it. Chris Trangrove is then trolling me and saying Sharknado is better than Jaws. I see you. The Indianapolis speech is one of the best movie moments ever. Yes, correct. Francis Leon says, Jaws lengthy blockbuster, which still demands rewatching. Correct. Andy Hart is calling Chris Trangrove on his baiting. That's bait. What have we got here? Ducky says, Jaws, much like Jurassic Park, works not just because of the action and creatures, but because of the amazing characters and dialogue. Yes. By the way, I'd like to know in the chat, who's everyone's favorite Jaws character? Is it Hooper? Is it Chief Brody? Or is it Quint? Mine is Hooper. Hooper. Love that boy. Such a great character. Francis Nolan says, Jules, great film, great acting, great soundtrack, great memes, great gifs, files, everything. Dennis Cook knows sharks are less dangerous than dolphins. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. By the way, if anyone doubts that, I can tell you that is correct. That is absolutely correct. Pedro says, so Jules is second. First is what? I will fuck you up.
That is true. That is true.
I will wreck people's shit for bringing that up when I'm on my Jaws rant. Gavin Man says, sharks are less dangerous than most things. They're in the ocean. I'm in my house. Thank you. I'm so refreshed to hear people see this. Nathan, AJ's brother, says, I automatically think of the song anytime I see think or see a shark. Yes, there you go. This is proof of what I'm saying. This is proof of what I'm saying. That movie did a number on people for generations. Jaws is effective due to being a hidden underwater menace. Mixed Memorabilia says, I thought it was Goodfellas. No, it's in my top 10. Goodfellas is in my top 10, but now it's The Green Mile. Frank Torres says, every time I hear a pug in a movie discussion, I think about the adventure of Milo and Otis and the controversy behind that film. Drink.
If I still had some juice, I would have.
Not seen it. Yeah. Chris Stranggrove says, I was not expecting The Green Mile as Nico's fave. Am I being judged or not there, Chris? I feel judged. I feel somewhat judged.
I feel they think they may, like, your passion of Star Wars may have, like, taken it over.
No. Okay, so just to clarify, you know this, but for the people who didn't know this, just to clarify, the reason The Green Mile is my favorite film of all time is because it is the first movie that ever made me cry. And I don't mean just like a tear, I mean bawl with tears. And here's the fucked up thing, much like with you, the crash freaking cape scene. Every fucking time that mouse comes out of its box at the end, it gets me. Fucking Mr. Jingles, man. I love that little guy.
Crash has me in a way. I don't get me wrong, what you brought up is an emotion, but that invisible cloak, yeah. Yeah. We have our moments. We have our moments in film.
Not judged, just surprised. Thank you, Chris. Couldn't choose between Hooper and Quint. Yes, defo Quint for me, says YG. Tearjerker, Brian's song.
1971. Again, I could drink. Not seen it, but hey.
I'm surprised your number one is your number one.
I actually don't know. I toyed with a lot of stuff, and when it came to nostalgia and what pumped me, because it's not, I wouldn't say it's my all-time. It wouldn't have come. It doesn't even come into my top 10 of films. However, when I think of the 70s, when I think of watching it as a kid, when I think of the desire for fitness that it gave me, the fact that you can't see a set of stairs and not want to run up it in a certain particular way, is why this film became what it was. Then when I heard the history behind it, screw it, let me bring up the picture. I am talking Rocky from Sylvester Stallone. The fact that this guy was trying to make it into Hollywood. Yeah. Okay, heavily inspired by The Great White Hope. But he creates this story, sells it to Hollywood, and they say, okay, yeah, we'll find an actor and it's all yours. No. If you want this film, I'm Rocky. And they're like, huh? Excuse me? No. If you want this film, I'm Rocky. That makes me love it even more. It's this drive and determination. It's the theme songs behind it. It gives something. As I said, I remember being a kid and these films were just chronically on Sky Movies, and you're just seeing the workout to build to be the great Rocky. Okay, he loses in the end. Fuck it, not a spoiler. But I remember trying to get my push-ups in because Rocky was ever so cool. You know, the elements behind it just makes me really appreciate how great of a film this was. And I kept looking at all the other films and like, but Rocky shouldn't be your number one. But something kept saying to me, but it is. It shouldn't be your number one, but it is. Like, no matter which way I look at it, and I think of all the fanfare that's come out with, be it Alien, be it Superman.
Your brother's such a twat.
He can go fuck himself. I really don't even care. Don't even show it.
He spent his time punching frozen meat to lose at the end.
What okay, all right. It's not a shot fired at me, so I don't really give a fuck. I literally thought, here he goes again, trying to jar me. But yeah, like whichever way, it's all of that madness though that you just saw this whole training regime that just seemed unreal. Let's go to the punching of meat. It was just this madness of this guy just doing everything in any circumstance to train for this fight. It was a lot as a kid. Like, yeah, and it just, you even now you hear Eye of the Tiger, or it's built a legacy so much so that we're into Creed now, into what this Rocky legacy has built. I was just like, it just ticked the boxes, and it's like the more I said he shouldn't, it just resonated. Like, but where would you put it then? And it just outdone everything else.
It's your list. I understand. Few comments. Chris Trengrover said there's a movie by Hirozaku Koreeda called Like Father, Like Son that makes me bull like a baby. As a new father, Nico, I recommend you watch it in particular. Like Father, Like Son. Sorry. Adding that in now. Thank you very much for that. Chris Tucky said, I said Rocky and Jaws are my top two, so happy to say they are each your number one.
That's a good chat.
Raging Bull or Rocky, guys? I mean, AJ, you know which way I'm gonna lean on this.
Oh, yeah, that's not a question. That's not a question for Nick.
Raging Bull all day long for me, I'm afraid. For AJ, I believe you'd go Rocky, wouldn't you?
Slightly, yeah, I would. Probably shouldn't, because I mean, if we're talking actors, De Niro kicks Stallone's ass, but yeah.
Beta Fett says, my prediction for the Mount Rushmore: Godfather, Star Wars, Jaws, and Aliens. Oh, before we carry on, as this was a suggestion from Cook 45, we're not going to ask for anyone's top 10s anymore. I want to hear what everyone's Rushmores are. Your 70s Rushmores. Start dropping those down in the comments now, and we'll read them out just as after we've done the Rushmore. Well, as we're doing the Rushmore, I should say. Andy Hart answers, Eunice saying Raging Bull. Chris Trengrove also says Raging Bull. Mixed Memorabilia says Rocky was a moment, wasn't it?
Thank you.
Tucky says, I love that they didn't take an easy route and have Rocky win the fight. All he wanted was to go the distance to prove his self-worth, and he did. Yeah, listen, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Pedro says Raging Bull's a better film. Rocky's more fun. Mixed Memorabilia says Raging Bull. Francis Long says, agree, Tucky, the hero loses. Pedro Sanctor says, cannot limit the 70s and just for only mentioning titles that you two didn't pick. Oh, here we go.
Oh, don't. Here we go.
Here we go.
We did say it was a tough call, Pedro. Please remember that. But go.
All is. Good. No, he's typing at the moment, clearly. Okay. Francis Lalonde, hang on, let me save that one for later. I'm just starring all of your Rushmores at the moment as they come up, guys. Chris, you've got a good one. Fuck me. That would probably be the one I would want to go for, but that's not going to be what goes on the Rushmore. Okay, we got a lot. You know what? I'm actually going to start reading them out. Frank Torres's Rushmore: Rocky, Godfather, Jaws, Star Wars. Yes. Francis Lalonde says Young Frankenstein, Jaws, Star Wars, and Halloween. Chris Trengo says this one is fucking fire. Star Wars, Alien, Apocalypse Now, and The Godfather. I'd swap The Godfather for Jaws, but otherwise that's pretty bloody solid. Tucky says Jaws, Rocky 2, Escape from Alcatraz.
I in a Rushmore, it's very hard to put two of the same films for me personally. No hate on Rocky 2, but yeah.
Rocky 2's fantastic.
No, bro, I'm just no hate on Rocky 1. Rocky's number one. When I say that, so.
Yeah. Riri Thomas goes, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Godfather, Jaws, Star Wars. That's a fucking Rushmore as well. That's a hell of a Rushmore. Pedro Santos says, your picks were great. Apocalypse Now would have been my number one. Andy says, AJ, do you know the rest of the story? When Stallone said he wanted the part, they showed the Lords of Flatbush to the studio bosses who liked him but were watching the wrong actor.
No way. I did not know that.
See what I mean? The knowledge from the movie community is amazing. Declan says Alien, Star Wars. Warriors was so hard to leave off.
Warriors was going to be my number 10, but like Asterix was, yeah.
Oh, it was so hard to leave off the Warriors. I love that film. And
Sorry,
AJ,
Close
one for you.
Encounters is not one for me. It is not
AJ
one
does
for me,
not
bro.
like that film.
The
Break the
fucking
internet
xylophone
moment.
movie, man. Like, allow it.
You movie fans, you're hearing this. AJ does not like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Oh, fuck, Andy, you've got a good one too. Holy God. Mount Rushmore, Chinatown, The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, and Alien. That is quite something. However, the Rushmore has to be the 4 behemoths. Yeah. Gavin, man, Rushmore 4. Rushmore 4. I don't know why I'm speaking weirdly. 1. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Jewel. Yeah, I said it. Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Willy Wonka from the Chocolate Factory. 2. Musicals. Who knew? I think Chris Trangrove nailed it. Yeah. I mean, Chris got an excellent Rushmore, but it's not going to be the Rushmore. Beta Fett says, my 70s Mount Rushmore is Network, Godfather 2, Young Frankenstein, and Women Under the Influence. Those are some very interesting picks that I really need to be drinking to and make a list to see those.
There's a few though.
Mixed Memorabilia says The Godfather Part 2. Part 1 is better than Alien, Enter the Dragon, and Papillon.
That was meant to be on the list. That was fucking meant to be on the list.
Real talk, I actually thought you would have my back on Enter the Dragon.
Bro, yeah, Holy Grail, yeah.
You got me. Tucky says Jaws, Alien, Rocky, Escape from Alcatraz, honorable shout to Rocky 2, which I also love. Your brother says Where the Warriors. Where's the Warriors? Yeah, Nate, it just missed out.
It was on my original list.
Can you dig it? Says Frank. YG says Godfather, Jaws, Deer Hunter, and Apocalypse Now. First we've heard of Deer Hunter.
YG, do you know Deer Hunter?
Say it, AJ.
A film.
Andy Hart agrees with you.
An hour-long wedding scene just killed the freaking movie. I appreciate what came after, but that just demolished it. I'm like, what is going on? I'm watching a wedding scene that has zero relevance to the freaking film. Zero relevance to the film.
Yep.
Why make it? I've got a budget for a 3-hour movie. Okay, I'll just film someone's wedding. The fuck? Like, no. Like, it was weird as hell.
Dem the Tech Cook 45 says The Exorcist, Jaws, Up in Smoke, and Alien. Up in Smoke, what's this? Oh, there's so many fucking
films. That was the Dr. Dre and Eminem tour, wasn't
it? Francis Lalonde says honorable mention. That's a Hungarian film, isn't it? Sardar, I think. Mixed Memorabilia says Escape from Alcatraz, great shout. Andy Hart says my top 10: Mad Max, Star Wars, Taxi Driver, American Graffiti, Don't Look Now. Don't Look Now is a great shout. Alien, The Godfather 2, The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, Chinatown at number 1.
I still lean One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest when it comes to Nicholson and that. Like, Chinatown's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking it, but
Pedro Sancto says Barry Lyndon, The Passenger, Amarcord, Aguirre, The Wrath of God. Chris Trangrove says that hour-long wedding scene made the movie. It set the whole thing up. AJ disagrees.
Okay. I don't know if I can bring myself to watch it again to see to prove that right or wrong, but fair enough.
Oh, Cheech and Chong, Up in Smoke, is it?
Oh, fair enough.
Sean Connery, Speedo in Space, Zardos. Okay. Yeah, as I said, Francis is with me on this. Don't Look Now is a great bloody shout. Guys, those are some amazing lists you have. But the reason we do the Rushmore, aside from deciding the 4 quintessential diverse must-see movies of the genre, which, by the way, I think the 4 that AJ and I are going to kind of agree on perfectly fits that description for the first time in a long time. Quintessential diverse must-see. Like, tick, 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 tick for what we're about to pick.
So Greasy's in the list. I'm joking.
Why are you trying to be funny? Leave the comedy to your brother.
He can't get it right, that's why. But we continue.
Can you dig it? The Rushmore, as AJ will explain much better than I in a moment, essentially goes off to Twitter. Now, there's been a recurring theme on Twitter over the course of the last year for whole of season 4, because we are on season 5 now.
Certain films are actually vetoed based on their popularity. You just knew that if this film comes up, it will kick the absolute living shit out of every other film.
And those films, which came up multiple times, and it actually ended up making the polls boring because it was so predictable that if that film's on, it's going to win. Now, there were 6 that I counted that did this. 7, actually. Rear Window was one of them that obviously can't make it. Shawshank Redemption was one of them, which obviously can't make it. And Die Hard was one of them that obviously can't make it. The other 4 have all been mentioned.
Because they were all made in the 70s.
Because they were
that
all
just
made in
shows
the
you
70s.
What that era was about, that decade was about.
Oh, Chris, you're so wrong in what you've just said. These guys are going to omit Star Wars.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
No, we're not. What these guys are going to do is now flip the script on Twitter. Because whereby we have tried. AJ has put in things like Coach Carter got decimated. I have put in things like Drive My Car. It got decimated. We've put in things like Shaun of the Dead, which, was successful in Greece, which was successful for our sins, right? But there's success, and then there's these 4 movies. So
essentially the movie Mount Rushmore.
This is this is, according to Twitter, according to everyone voting. Well, Pedro Sanctus, we don't have a foreign film in this Mount Rushmore, and even if we did, it wouldn't stand a hope. Now, I like the fact that I think it was Pedro last week, called us on our bullshit and said, it's our show, it's our Rushmore, we're going to pick the movies that we want.
Of course.
Not this week.
No, but here we go. But we do want it because we need to have an answer.
I have a feeling of what the answer is going to be, and I don't like it, but there are 4.
think I know because there is that fanfare more than any other film. But hey, let's see by how much it wins.
The 4 Rushmore movies are... Dan, you're incorrect on one of them. The 4... Pedro, you've also missed it out. Should we just go straight into the Rushmore and announce it as if we decided already? Because we both know what the 4 are.
I hope I get this right.
Do you want to ping me in the private chat quickly?
Yeah, actually, it will help me because
Christian Grove, stop your trolling. I see you there. I see you, buddy. Let's have a look at what AJ said. Correct.
Yeah, okay, cool.
The Goliaths, the Behemoths, the 4 that wipe out
the
everything.
Best of the best of the best.
Sir, with honors, right? Ladies and gentlemen, the official movie Mount Rushmore of Mount Rushmores of 70s movies. In no particular order is...
Rocky.
Our second entry is...
Jaws.
Our third entry is...
Star Wars.
Our final entry into the movie Mount Rushmore of Rushmores of 70s movies is...
The Godfather. Now, do you know what's really funny? One, I nearly done like a soundbite for each one, followed by the fact that I could actually hear the theme songs to each one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
This is. So, all right, let me get into my spiel because, hey, we're getting to that hour. Yeah. Again, normally we the Silver Screen Dudes have the ultimate challenge of taking 10 films and breaking it down into 4. This week, not so hard.
Not so hard.
However, for you guys, the screener, this is the challenge gets that bit harder. Because while we have created the movie Mount Rushmore of movie Mount Rushmores, you guys have to vote for the best of the best of the best. El Capitan, El Numero Uno, and to quote Highlander and the ever amazing Andy Hart, in the end, there can be only one. I shit myself every time. Right. So what you have to do is head on over to @MoviePolls4You. We love movies, good old JT, or head on over to @MovieMT Rushmore, which is the Silver Screen Dudes official Twitter page. And there you will see our pinned retweet of JT's vote poll, which you will pin these great movies, Rocky, Jaws, Star Wars, and The Godfather, against each other. Last week, our topic was...
It was an interesting one. Last week, our topic was the top movies of 2021.
And the contenders were?
The contenders were Tick, Tick, Boom, No Way Home, Drive My Car, and Dune. Didn't get that many votes. People weren't that interested. It got 230.
No, they were on holiday, man. They were breaking.
Okay, I like that logic. By the way, guys, I see all the comments come. Can't argue with that. Star Wars will win, but those are 4 of the best ever. And I see some people throwing shade Rocky's way. Just go and have a look at some of our polls in history. Rocky's usually high 50s or low 60s when we put it in a poll, as are all of these movies. Do I agree that I would personally put Apocalypse Now or Alien over Rocky and The Godfather? Hell yeah.
Listen,
yes, I said it. I said it.
In a Rushmore of actual quality, you would have stuff like Chinatown. You would have stuff like Blue Collar. You would, One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest. They're there. These films kick ass. Like we have seen it. Like it's not even a prediction. It's like, so what was second? We actually do it in normally we go 4, 3, 2, 1. This time we do 1, 2, 3, 4 because you know what's coming as an answer.
It got to a stage where we had to veto these movies, and Chris Trengrove, who's in the chat now, Chris was one of the people guiltiest because there are times when you talk about boxing movie, but we had to literally say excluding Rocky because it's like that Rocky's just going to trounce everyone. Do I think Raging Bull is the better film? Yes, but popular-wise, just based on Twitter, people will vote for Rocky. I have seen it. We have seen it. So, time and time again, these 4 movies are usually vetoed in the poll. And now they all fight. Ken Watanabe, let them fight. Right? But yeah,
Highlander,
these are the 4.
There can be only one.
Yes. But yeah, so Tick, Tick, Boom, No Way Home, Drive My Car, and Dune. AJ, number 4.
I'm just going to go with the way that things tend to normally go, and you were aware of this when you done it. I'm going to go with Drive My Car at number 4.
It was for the longest time, and I'm so happy to say no, it's not.
Fair play.
Oh, sorry, just before you carry on, Chris, what did I do? So, Chris, it's not that you did anything, but there were often times in the polls where we would have like a glaring omission. And you would often question, like, where is this movie? And I would usually say to you, well, listen to the podcast, and you'll see why we said this.
Now you're tuning into the podcast live.
Now you're tuning into the podcast, then you're part of the movie fam. Now you get it, how we come to these conclusions. But yeah, there was a number of movies where you rightfully, if you weren't listening to the podcast, questioned, where's Shawshank? Or like, where's Die Hard? Or like, where's Star Wars? Because based on that topic we were picking that week, they were really obvious contenders. And the porn's back. I must block the porn. Blocking the porn. But yeah, we left off some glaringly obvious movies, and you would usually question us and be like, where is this glaringly obvious movie? It's because they're vetoed. So that's what I meant that you were doing, Chris. You were like one of the people often saying like, why have you left this film off? I don't get it. But yeah, so AJ, sorry, back to this. Number 4 isn't Drive My Car.
I'm going to have to go with the Netflix movie, Tick, Tick, Boom.
Sadly, yeah, which I think is unfair because I think Andrew Garfield is delivering an
I
Oscar.
really enjoyed that film. I really enjoyed that film. Then I'm going to go with Drive My Car.
So Tick, Tick, Boom had 13%. Drive My Car had 16%. It is indeed at number 3.
Based on the fanfare that's going on as well, I didn't hear a lot of love for this film when it came out, even though I do enjoy it. Dune at number 2.
No.
Oh, wow.
Spider-Man No Way Home came in at 2 with 26%. Dune rightfully got picked to be the best movie of the year based on those 4 that we picked with 45%.
Hey, decent victory at that as well. I have no beef with that. I'm aware that my box ticking is a very weird box ticking when it came to why Spider-Man won. I can't even begin to explain it. It's just the way my brain works, and it's not just the comic book shit. It's the way my brain works. But hey, congratulations, because Dune, as I said, was a film I thoroughly enjoyed, despite the timings of me watching it.
Dune was fantastic, and I know. No sooner was I about to say Den's unhappy. Oh, hell no. Yeah, Den. Bro, you need to realize that you are on a very small island of people who do not like Dune. I'm sure there will be others in the chat too who don't like it. It's a good film. It's a really good fucking film.
And this dude is watching Grease 2 and hating on June. But anyway, we leave it there.
Oh, snap.
It's all anyway, it is what it is.
So I'd also like to send a massive thank you to Andy for actually picking this episode. Andy Hart, who you can follow on Twitter at Fandango Groover. Fanuary continues next month. Was it
week, maybe
next week even? I don't know. Did I say month?
You did.
My bad.
Daddy
My
brain.
bad. Daddy brain, big time. Yeah, top 10 spy movies next week, guys. It's a goodie. And Pedro Santos, who's in the chat now. This one's for you. You were the one who pitched this a while ago, so we are doing one for you, sir. And yeah, then we'll have 2 more episodes throughout the month. But Andy Hart, this was, I think it's fair to say, one of the hardest lists we've ever had to put together. So well done on the pick.
So much to be omitted. It was unreal. But when you saw the contenders, it was like, okay, this is going to be fun, because we've always giggled because it's like 2 that can go against each other.
Yeah.
The fact that you could put the 4 of them together.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Jaws is the only one whose franchise got worse by the minute. But apart from that, yeah. Yeah, awesome standalone movie for sure.
Franchise got worse by the minute.
As in, the rest of the films weren't all that great. You could enjoy Jaws 2, but it wasn't Jaws 1.
Oh, yeah. No, there's Jaws and everything else. It doesn't matter. Pedro, to answer your question, yep, you are most welcome. No need to say thanks. It's a great topic. Excluding Bond, we are allowing ourselves 1 Bond movie.
Yeah. 1 from each franchise, so it's not going to be like
1 from each franchise.
Like,
it's all Jason Bourne. It's all James Bond. Although at this point they're basically the same thing.
Ethan Hunt 1 to 6. Like, no, it's not going to be like the entire Mission Impossible franchise. So.
Andy Hart says spy movies, no time to die. Stop trolling me.
I mean, it will probably make his list somewhere, but we all know where.
My man knows.
In that situation, I suppose you can have 2, but we won't get into it.
Correct, my guy knows. Gavin Mann says spies need to get those Daniel Craig films watched. No, you don't. You can live without them.
I've done it, but anyway, there's only one clear winner when it comes to that.
Spy Hard is a great fucking shout, you know.
It's already on my list somewhere. It's like listed in the film.
I'm rewatching that just to see how much I really do love that film still. I might watch that tonight, actually. Spy Hard is a fucking great shout. But yeah, before you drop all your comments in here, guys, as usual, there will be a tweet that goes out on the weekend. What is your favorite spy movie? That will be the time to share all your likes, all of your suggestions. Again, amazing show, guys. Thank you for interacting with us. Thank you. Back next week with another Fanuary. That's just us.
Guys, thanks for all the comments. It is absolutely nuts. Like, at the time I stopped and Nico had gone back and come back, like 255 comments from when he took his break till now. So that just says a lot. The views have been decent as well. It's a good way to come back to kick off season 5 as well as 2022. So we thank you continuously. As we said, there will be no pay gate here. We are forever free in that aspect. Thanks as always. Until the next time, I am the 1AJ.
I'm Nico Lurot. Happy New Year to everyone. And once again, please RIP to the late, great Betty White.
Indeed.
See you guys.
See ya.